make it this far. They hate it, they never believe me. Yeah, I'm making it easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic got to say, I got them picking up the pieces. That to me, you really playing with your life. I'm about to come and run it all back. I'm the new era, about to snap back. You ain't fitting for it, cause you all cap like. Hold up, I shoot my shot, wait, hold up. I'm really about to run this go up. You know it's all net when it go up. Ain't got no other plans, you don't need to understand. Ay, we on overtime, you don't need to understand. Ay, you just show them how to do it when you don't know what to say. Tell me how you plan to win. Yeah, but you bringing me back. Try to double cross me, dog. Just let me relax. Stop assuming what we doing. Keep it moving, what we doing. Cause it can get bigger. Cause it can get bigger. Cause it can get bigger. Hey, please don't play no games with me. I promise I'm too much. Hey, I can never let up even if you had enough. Hey, this ain't for the faint of heart. We always playing rough. I had enough, it ain't luck. I needed a vision, I needed ambition, I needed a mission to beat in submission with no intermission. I see the collision, the crash and the distance, they coming off track, no. Now when they ask what's the motive, don't talk about the show them. They all about to see what I mean in the moment. I gotta keep going, I'm shaking the dice and I'm keeping it rolling. They already know. Ain't got no other plans, you don't need to understand. Ay, we on overtime, you don't need to understand. Ay, you just show them how to do it when you don't know what to say. Tell me how you plan to win if you plan to play. So moving fast, already gone. Yeah, but you bringing me back. Try to double cross me, dog. Just let me relax. Stop assuming what we doing. Keep it moving, what we doing. Cause it can get bigger. Cause it can get bigger. Cause it can get bigger. Yeah. Gotta aim for the top like. All of you critics be acting like you know better. Blowing the smoke, but I know when the dust settles that I'm in my element. It's evident that there's levels to the game. All those nights I got there, bringing my back to make it out. Got me feeling like rain. I ain't never need your help. I know you wishing me well. A penny for your thoughts, but seeing no change. I snap for the sun like Diddy. The riches got a mad ass son. I'm like Billy. I ain't never switch up. Whole team with me. But known for my city like OAGZ. Set the pace as long as you finish. Consumers find a way inside your business. Babble if they try to dabble in it and they hate the fact that they may have to witness. You tryna aim for the top like this and you're in your element with a fire like this and they hoping you fall and they praying you miss, but it's all in the risk. I got you with the switch, you know. I'm in the zone. Give me the throne. One shot, that's all that you got. That's all that I know. Foot on the gas. 155 on the road. You could be a friend of me, an enemy. Keep that same old energy, cause I know I'm in my element. Ooh, yeah. I'm in my element. Ooh, yeah. I'm in my element. I'm in my element. Ooh, yeah. I'm in my element. Ooh, yeah. I'm in my element. Ooh, yeah. Keep that same energy. I'm in my element. Ooh, yeah. I'm in my element. Flow is like water. I'm forced through the fire. I'm feeling like gold. Gotta stay grounded, stay down to earth. Following God and you grinding. You do as you told. I don't work to make you like me, but I'm front and center. Word to Spike Lee. And God came in the nick of time. They think I'm crazy, but I might be. Let's run it up, run it up, run it up. We beating the odds just to sum it up. You know it's a rap, never waistlines, and I'm cutting the weight like a tummy tuck. That mean I'm about to give it out right now. You see what's coming down the line, I never pipe down. I give 100% of me, trying to stun on my enemies. In my element is crazy, it's the mic sign. I'm in the zone. Give me the throne. One shot, that's all that you got. That's all that I know. Foot on the gas. 155 on the road. You could be a friend of me, an enemy. Keep that same old energy, cause I know I'm in my element. Ooh, yeah. I'm in my element. Ooh, yeah. I'm in my element. I'm in my element. Ooh, yeah. I'm in my element. Ooh, yeah. I'm in my element. Ooh, yeah. Keep that same energy. I'm in my element. Never switch up. Never switch up. Never switch up. Never switch
Shout out to all the weight police out there.
There we go with that damn mute button again. A lot of people, a lot of people in the building. Salute, salute, salute. Salute, 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 salute. I know y'all can hear me now. I got to remember to hit that damn mute button. I always hit the mute button so y'all don't hear nothing going on back here, and I forget to hit the damn button when I come into the building, man. Shout out to everybody in the building, man. Appreciate you guys being here. It is Tuesday. Well, it's Monday. I'm sorry. I'm used to Tuesday and Thursday, right? But today I decided to go up. I had some time, and there's some things I want to talk about. We obviously have fight week coming up this week. We got the Anthony Joshua card coming up this weekend. And, of course, we got the big Zuffa card, the big Zuffa card, right? The big Zuffa card coming up this weekend. So a lot of things to talk about during this week, but this is a special week, right? We finally gotten to the point to where the purse bid is pretty much here, right? I mean, July 27th will be the actual final cutoff date, but today is the last day as we try to figure out exactly what's going to be happening with Devin Haney. As far as Bill Haney's concerned, is he going to be moving Devin Haney towards the Keyshawn Davis fight to defend his WBO title, or will, in fact, he will go for the money fight as well as a legacy fight, right, to fight against Shakur Stevenson? We got a couple of clips today that we're going to be going through today. Today, Bill Haney showed up on Champ Side. Shout out and salute to Champ Side. We'll go over just a little bit of that interview, a little bit, a very one part in that interview that I'm going to be highlighting here that we're going to be talking about from Bill Haney's point of view. And, you know, things have changed, right? A roller coaster as we've watched things change for Devin Haney, gone from, you know, the biggest fight with Brian Norman Jr. to seemingly being blackballed by the industry where he couldn't get none of the big fights, to offer with Zuffa Boxing to fight Shakur Stevenson. We saw this whole entire weight disparity, right? This whole entire argument or debate over where the weight should be at and what Devin would be willing to do versus what the boxing space wanted Shakur to do. But then a new player jumped into the game with the zone. And on the back end of seeing what they did with Teofimo Lopez, now it may make the conversation a little bit more interesting as we're actually coming into the final moment of truth, as we're going to find out who really wants to fight as far as networks are concerned, what kind of money's there for Devin Haney to fight against Keyshawn Davis. And once that money situation is ironed out, what decision will Devin Haney make? Will he go with the Keyshawn Davis fight? I saw Bill up there today said, we're going to choose legacy over the money, which at one point in time I thought was what Bill and Devin Haney stood for, right? I thought that's what they were on, but, you know, they've always been about their money. But I do believe, like, probably around the Regis Prograis fight time, right around that time, it looked like they went closer to the prize fighting side of the game, just a little bit more committed to that side of the game. These aren't people who are going around making a little bit of money, or, you know, Bill has always made sure Devin Haney is in the best situation and scenario to make himself the most money. But definitely after that Regis Prograis fight, I feel like they were more focused on the prize fighting side of the game. We saw what they did with Ryan Garcia. We saw that they actually vacated their WBC title when they didn't want to go ahead and fight Sandor Martin, right? The money was too low. I believe Top Rank was offering somewhere between $2 million or something, some money like that, right? That they were going to have to get a percentage of. They decided to go into a hiatus. They vacated that WBC title. So we know if the money isn't right, the Haneys aren't necessarily jumping on board with every opportunity that's on the table. Without a doubt, though, the playing field has opened up and is leveled out in a big way now with the addition, in my opinion, of the zone. I think the zone seemingly offering deals to Shakur Stevenson at one point in time. Shakur admitted that. They offered a deal to Richardson Hitchens. You got to believe that the zone is in Bill Haney's ear right now, and Bill Haney's leveraging all aspects of the game to make sure that DHP comes out on top. We'll talk about that. We'll go through a few different clips on that as well. We'll also talk about Shakur Stevenson today a little bit more, and he's part of this conversation as well. But Shakur gave an interview with Fight Hype. I thought it was one of the best interviews out of all the interviews he was given, right? I don't want to say it was one of the best ones, but he definitely spoke on a lot of things he didn't speak on in the other interviews. So we'll go do some clips there as well. I've got a clip here I want to go through as well with Gary Antoine Russell speaking on the Keyshawn Davis and Devin Haney fight as well. I thought that was a very interesting perspective from Gary Antoine Russell, somebody who I respect not only inside the ring, but also what I do know of him. We have friends, 1 degree, 2 degrees of separation of friends, mutual friends that I know speak to the Russells and have a very close relationship with the Russells. And, you know, whenever we talk about the Russells in general, but mainly Gary Antoine Russell, we always talk about how accurate he is in calling these fights. He called the Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney fight, right? He calls a lot of fights in the game. He breaks it down very well as to why he feels that way. So I thought he had a very interesting perspective on that fight. So we'll go over that clip as well. In other news as well, guys, we're going to be talking about Virgil Ortiz and Jerron Boots Ennis as well. Great interview by Virgil Ortiz, who's finally breaking his silence, speaking a little bit up for himself about what's been going on, what we can expect from him, and what he's thought about everything that's been going on, whether it's a conversation about the WBC, whether it's about Golden Boy, whether it's about making the biggest fights with Sebastian Fundora or Jerron Boots Ennis. Just in general, just his perspective on the business of the sport. Maybe we can get some real perspective as to what we can expect from Virgil Ortiz in the coming weeks, as I'm expecting announcements to be rolling out and things of that nature to be rolling out. He's been inactive. He hasn't been in the gym the way he wants to be in the gym. He spoke on that as well. And now he seems really excited about what he's getting ready to look forward to and doesn't want to get caught up too much in the past. We'll talk about that as well. Of course, we got to talk about the fights that happened this weekend, guys. We definitely got to tap in and talk about Diego Pacheco versus Emmanuel Alim. What do we think going into that fight? What do we think at the back end of that fight? How do we look at that fight? And more importantly, what does that mean for Diego Pacheco on the back end of that fight? Where should he be moving forward to now? Great, team he's building around himself in Los Angeles, California, with Buddy McGirt looking like he's going to be the head trainer for Diego Pacheco. What does that look like for Diego Pacheco? Where do we want to see him from now? Does he still need to build himself a little bit more? Or is he ready or not? Let's get him into the big conversations. Hamza Shiraz, Jaime Munguia, Ozzy Iglesias, Christian Mbili, Canelo Alvarez winner, et cetera, et cetera. We'll talk about all those things. We'll talk about Andy Cruz and his victory, great stoppage victory this weekend. What do we see next for him? He's made it official. He's announced he's going to be at 130 pounds. That is a good thing. That is a bad thing. That is all of the above. I'll be interested in what you guys think about it. We'll be talking about that as well. Shout out Albert Chop Gonzalez puts on a world-class masterclass performance this weekend. What's next for him? He's calling out Shushu Carrington. Is he asking for too much? If it's not Shushu, then who should it be? What do we want to see? Robert Garcia continuing to build some of the best fighters. His stable is just separating itself one fight at a time. Robert got Bam. He's got Raymond. He's got Chop Gonzalez, right? He's got Oscar Duarte, right? He has Virgil Ortiz. He has all these fighters coming out of his stable. But what's next for Albert Chop Gonzalez on the back end of that performance? Of course, we're going to be opening up the panel as well. There's the Discord inside of the hold on one second here. There's the Discord inside the chat. It's pinned up there. Become a member. I'm trying to figure out how to get better at that, bringing you guys up through Discord. Today, Ness, I was on the Boxing Voice today, and Ness was like, hold on one second here. Let me put this together here. Ness was like, oh, I tried to get on your show. You don't got the Discord hooked up right. I probably don't. He told me something today. I didn't tell him that I didn't know. I kind of played it off, but he was talking about the Bluetooth. I didn't even know about the Bluetooth in this Rodecaster, bro. I didn't even know about the Bluetooth. So I got to figure that out. I'll figure that out later today. I've been hooking everything up through this USB-C cord. That's how I've been kind of doing it. But regardless, it's going to be open. Join the community. Hit the link. I promise you, we're going to figure it out at some point in time. And when we do, hopefully today, it'll be live call-ins for sure. I'm always interested in hearing what you guys have to talk about. That's what it is about, right? So, guys, hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so. Subscribe to the channel. like the channel. Let's go through the chat a little bit and say what's up to the community before we dive into this conversation. As you can tell, by the way, it looks like it's just going to be me today. I'm not too sure if Angel's popping up later or Ray's popping up later, but it'll just be me today. Well, me and you guys, right? The community is my co-host today. Shout out to to the usual suspects. Y'all know who y'all are. Let's shout them out here. Sam from New Jersey in the building says, okay, let's go. For sure, Sam. What's good with you, family? Hope everything is good with you, man. Glad to be in the building here. Jehoshem Wagner in the building. Shout out to Jehoshem Wagner in the building. Angie 0777 in the building says, shout out to Clay. Shout out, my God. What's good here? New York Bullet in the building says, salute, Clay. What's good with you, man? SOB TV in the building said, let's get it, Clay. I got time today. But Devin, he running out of time. By the way, bless his brother. No doubt, man. Time is not on the side of the Haneys at this point. I mean, we'll talk about it, right? Because, you know, the name of this channel is At This Point. You know, ATP is At This Point Combat Media. And look, at this point, things have changed for Devin. It's not as bad or as dark as it was, let's say, 3 weeks ago, when it looked like he was really cornered in between a rock and a hard place. Now, the landscape has opened up even more. Like I told you guys, I'm focusing on this DAZN aspect of this conversation. I think people aren't talking about it enough. I think DAZN has made their intentions clear with what they did with Teofimo Lopez, and then on the back end of hearing what Richardson Hitchens talked about, what Shakur Stevenson talked about as far as exclusive offers being offered to them by the DAZN, I think that's going to play a big part in this one here. So things have changed for Devin Haney a little bit, maybe a lot of it, and maybe this Keyshawn Davis fight can become way more interesting for DHP. And we might really be looking at that fight happening next rather than a Shakur Stevenson fight, right? If the price of the fight is going to be that WBO title, Bill and Devin might have different plans than what we thought was going to be their plans, right? We got to see how that plays out. Mac Majestic in the building said, time is up, Keyshawn. Time to lose that O, because Big Bro is too chicken shit to lose his O first. Oh my. Great statement, man. I hear you, man. Hey, Mac Majestic, I ain't even mad at you at all, bro. It is time up for everybody. We're getting closer and closer to a moment of truth, right? Moment of clarity where we can get past the silliness of it all. We've all been talking about this for months now at this point. It feels like months at this point, right? Since what, May 10th is really, I think, when this really started to get some real legs under it, and really probably around May 28th when that whole entire WBO move was made, putting Keyshawn Davis at that #1 spot in the WBO rankings and making him a mandatory. The conversation got that much more interesting. So we're here in late, well, I would say halfway through July, but on the other half, closer to the end of July. And we're finally looking like we're going to get to a place to where we can get this conversation where it needs to be, which is what's going to happen next? Who is Devin fighting next? And then on the back end of figuring that out, who is Shakur fighting next if it's not Devin? We got to talk about that as well, right? Who does Keyshawn fight next if it's not Devin? It's a glove triangle, right? Shout out to the big glove triangle going on out here. A lot to talk about. It is what it is, man. Rico from that town in the building. Salute, says salute, my God. God bless the ATP Combat Podcast, man. God bless you, man. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Give me the rock in the building says Claymore. Salute, man. Akeem Blake in the building says peace allowed until serenity exists. Had to sage the show. Let's get to it now.
That's called motherfucking bars, nigga. You know nothing about that.
My guy, Akeem Blake in the building. Flexing and stepping in the building. Salute, flexing and stepping. What's go with you, man? Mine yours in the building says Claymore. Salute to Claymore, one of the best, if not the best. 100.
That's called motherfucking bars, nigga. You know nothing about that.
Shout out to my guy, mine yours in the building. I appreciate the love, man. Big Sarge in the building says salute, Claymore Rain. Salute, Big Sarge. What's good? What's good? Let's see here. Big Sarge, Mac Majestic, SOBTV. Donnie956 says, you're muted. I know, man. I got it fixed, all right? Cheese in the building. Big Cheese in the building. Welcome down, Van Houter. Father of Demazian Van Houter. Up and coming American heavyweight prospect. Going to be one of the biggest contenders in the American heavyweight scene. Shout out to Welcome Down, Van Houter. Let's see here. Going down the list. Make sure I catch everybody. Official everything. Official everything. What up, Clay? What up to you, family? What's good? Lance Meyer says, Clay, on Monday, let's effing go. For sure, man. Let's go. Let's go. Chris Burrell in the building says, what up, Clay? Bill Haney was on champ side within the last 2 to 3 hours and confirmed Keyshawn versus Devin happens in 2026. We're going to talk about it. It does look like there's some options on the table for Bill to be fighting, for Devin to be fighting Keyshawn this year for sure. We'll see what ends up happening with this purse bid. I think that's still part of the conversation. But yeah, I saw the champ side interview. Great interview, man. I'm actually going to play a clip from that interview today where Bill kind of speaks a little bit more. It was a very interesting clip. I'm going to play it. But yeah, man, it looks like they're not turning down any smoke. And like I said, the conversation has changed up a lot, man, because with the zone involved in it, there's probably some money over there with the Keyshawn Davis fight as well. And if Devin isn't trying, maybe more importantly, if Devin's not trying to give up that 147-pound WBO title, then he has to fight Keyshawn, and that would likely be the next fight, right? But a lot of lucrative opportunities on the table for Bill Haney for sure, man. Big Money in the building says, as he should, no doubt. King KO in the building said, all rise. The king is in the building. Now let's begin. No doubt. Salute to King KO. We can start the show now that King KO's in the building. We Fight All Night TV in the building. My brother HLD in the building. Salute to you, family. Blaze pound for pound. Pound for pound. Pound for pound in the building. Blaze. Blaze pound for pound in the building. Hit the like button. Do like my brother says, man. Do your job, and I will do my job. Your job is to hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, definitely do that as well. But I appreciate the love. Shout out to Blaze pound for pound in the building here. HLD1 says Hitchens was not offered his own contract. They the ones who pulled him from the undercard, remember, for his comments after the Kambosos fight per Eddie Hearn. Well, okay, I mean, listen, I don't know, right? I'm just telling you, I'm just repeating what Hitchens said, right? Hitchens said there was an offer by DAZN exclusively, and you know he had to make decisions between DAZN and Super Boxing. So I mean, I hear you, HL, but I'm just saying what Richardson Hitchens said, right? I don't know, you know, maybe Richardson Hitchens is you know, I mean,
stop the cap.
I don't know, right? It is what it is. It is what it is. Let me see who's in the building here. Let me see here. Haney versus Keyshawn purse bid ordered for July 27th. Exactly. This is the week though, but this is the cutoff date. Like today is 20 days from when the mandatory was ordered. The mandatory was ordered on June 30th. So we're on July 20th right now. Today's the 20th. It's literally the 20th day is today. So the purse bid will be for July 20th. And we're going to talk about all that, by the way, HLD as well, about July 27th and what we're going to be expecting to see happen this week. What's happening this week? Because this is a very important week for Devin Haney, for Keyshawn Davis, and maybe even Shakur Stevenson, who's waiting on the decision that Devin's making one way or another, so that Zuffa knows what direction to go into, right? If this fight is not going to be next between Shakur and Devin, then what's the next move going to be made that's going to make sense? And I've got a clip here from Shakur as well that will be playing where he speaks about what the next move would be, or what he would like the next move to be, right? It is what it is. Let me see here. Big Sarge says Pacheco had a great outing, but he definitely needs more seasoning. I mean, I don't know, man. I think all these fighters need more seasoning, right? But the question is, we'll talk about it, right? Because even with the Hamza Shiraz conversation going on, I don't know who on Hamza Shiraz's resume is so great that eliminates Diego Pacheco as a legitimate contender who can dethrone Hamza Shiraz, right? Who can take his O and take that WBO title off of his waist. I don't know, man. It is what it is. Yes. Let me see. HLD says yes to Bluetooth, but it can be finicky. No doubt. Yeah, I think the USB-C cord might be a clearer way of dealing with the HL, but I don't know. I want to try that Bluetooth because if it is just as efficient, it makes it for less wires and things that I got going on here, right? And, the less the better, man. WTF? What the Media 77 in the building. Salute. Says, what's good, Clay? What's good, man? My guy T Severe, what's good? Said Hardwire is usually going to provide much better sound quality. If you don't need to connect via Bluetooth, don't. Okay, there it is. T Severe saying it, right? Yeah, I have the Hardwire connection here. It feels like that's really effective. But that makes sense, man. That Hardwire, even with my internet and everything going into my tower here, I connect it directly to the modem, right? Via wire. I don't just I have Bluetooth obviously in everything I got here, but that hard wire usually gives that better connection. without a doubt. Drew Banger 70 in the building says, shout out to Claymore and the grind. Salute, salute. Buzzness in the building. Salute, salute, salute. Buzzness says, gonna be funny seeing Devin keep the belt and not drop it. No doubt, no doubt. Donnie 956 in the building says, gonna be funny seeing Devin keeping the belt and not, wait, no, sorry, wrong one. Sorry. Donnie, hold on a second. Pull that down. I want to pull up this. Donnie 956. I think they are playing chicken to see if Keyshawn and Jay Prince will actually fight for 25%. Maybe. I'll tell you what, though. Keyshawn needs to take that fight. If it's 25%, so be it. That's what Keyshawn needs to do. You've been calling for this fight. You've been running all around town. You've been going to Craig's house. You've been talking about hitting people with a brick. You've been doing a lot to push for this fight to happen. Without a doubt, Devin Haney is the A side, right? And, I don't like to get caught up in those politics, but Devin Haney is a big star giving Keyshawn Davis the opportunity. Granted, that mandatory may play its role in it as far as how much leverage Devin actually has in the conversation. Because if Devin's options are to either break bread with Keyshawn or vacate that title, maybe Jay Prince and them can leverage that. I'm not too sure. But we'll see how it plays out. We'll see how it plays, right? Big Money 100 in the building says, this decision is huge, like LeBron to Miami. No doubt, man. No doubt. Mr. Big Play Bray in the building salute says, will Keyshawn take 25%? We'll talk about it, man. The WBO officially ordered today in Puerto Rico. No doubt, HLD. No doubt. The Boxing Source in the building. What's good to the Boxing Source in the building? DC, Virginia, DMV, stand up. The Boxing Source in the building, man. Carlos Bernardo says, sup, what's good with you, man? Chris Burrell says the WBO says they will do the purse bid live. Wow, broadcasting, so nobody will be able to hide their hands, and we get transparency. What a fight we could have on our hands, 100%, man. The Boxing Source says, I doubt the Haney's teams go through the purse bid. Right, but the Boxing Source, no doubt, man. And the Boxing Source, I will be putting the link up. I'll probably put it up right now that I know you're in the building, because you're a solid source of information in the boxing space. I always pay attention to what you say, bro, because I know you're just tapped in like that, without a doubt, man. So, matter of fact, I'll put the link out right now. It's not for everybody, so just everybody pops up on that link. You might not get pulled up here, but the right people, will get pulled up. This one really is for the Boxing Source if he wants to come up and build on this conversation a little bit more, because I know he's tapped in to the way Top Rank works in particular, and he's also very tapped in as to how these purse bids and these negotiations end up working out. So, to get some perspective from him would be very valuable. Very, very valuable. Let me see. Drew Banger says, Claymore, I became a member this past Saturday. Appreciate your content. Man, thank you, Drew Banger. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you, brother. Thank you, man. Let me see here. Edward Torres says, Debo signing to the zone. Maybe. Quite possibly. Quite possibly. And let me see. Mr. Big Play Bray says, is it possible they give Keyshawn step-aside money? Without a doubt, Mr. Big Play Bray, I think they've been offering Keyshawn step-aside money. I think that's the whole name of the game, right? To see, because the reality is Keyshawn holds the key in a big way. And the fact that if they satisfy Keyshawn and he's willing to walk away from this whole situation, it makes it make more sense now to where Devin can actually fight Shakur Stevenson, not lose his WBO title, and then come back to 147 as a champion, potentially, right? Or if he loses to Keyshawn, they might do him if he loses to Shakur, they might make the belt vacant, right? Where whoever has an interim title, right? So if Keyshawn, let's say, fights Brian Norman Jr. or fights Arnold Barboza for a vacant WBO title or an interim, WBO title, maybe in that scenario, if Devin Haney lost to Shakur Stevenson at 144, maybe they would elevate, right, the winner of Keyshawn Davis and Brian Norman Jr. or Arnold Barboza as a full champion. All kinds of things that go on, right? The political space of boxing is undefeated. At the end of the day, we as fans are just spectating and waiting for the word so we can know what's going on, right, in the space. It is what it is, man. Glory of him, boxing in the building. My guy Rich in the building says, salute, Clay. Salute to you guys, man. Salute, man. Oh, my guy did pop up on you. Hit the link, man. Hold on 1 second here. Y'all give me a moment so I can bring up my guy, the Boxing Source in the building, man. Hold on a second. What's going on here? What did I do wrong? Let's do it like that. The Boxing Source in the building. So to my guy, man. What's good with you, family? The DMV in the building. What's good?
Yo, what's happening? You got me?
Yeah, I hear you. You're coming in kind of low. I don't know. Maybe I'm hearing you. Hold on a second. Are you coming in kind of low?
Yeah, it might be, but I'm on headphones and stuff like that, so that might be the reason.
Yeah, you're coming in real low. Like I can't hear you. I don't know if anybody in the building can hear you, but you're coming in real low. Hold on. Let me see if I could do something about that. Maybe I could do something on my side to kind of
Nah, I think it's on my end. How about now?
Nah, you're just low. You're just low. Like I hear you, without a doubt, I hear you, but you're very low. Very low.
Man,
very low.
I'm like on the phone right now. So
yeah, Big Sarge says very low. His sound is low. And people are coming in saying you're very low. Do you want to try to go out? Boom. Right. There you go. You're good.
All right, yeah,
you're good.
Switch it back.
Yeah. You're definitely good right now. What's good with you, family? How you been?
Yeah, just been chilling on the move and stuff like that. So just checking in here with Claymore and there, yeah, we did get that news for the WBO, man. I'm unsure about this though. I think this is when Jay Prince and them was talking about, oh, we got Haney cornered and stuff like that. I think this is part of what they mean, because it's like either they want him to fight Keyshawn or they want him to fight Shakur, right?
Right.
And the thing is with Dev is kind of looking for that the biggest bag possible,
right?
And for him to kind of like go into a purse bid with Keyshawn, that just says like, well, they couldn't work out no type of deal up to this point. So you mean to tell me you couldn't agree to anything with Keyshawn and their team up to now? So now it's going to purse bid. I think this is going to be similar to the Devin Haney, Sandor Martinez situation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You had them go to a purse bid and Top Rank won that, but that was like 2.1 million or something like that. This was after the whole little debacle with Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia. So Devin Haney was like, am I gonna pay if I'm gonna fight for like 1.5 after I fought Ryan Garcia? Nah. So he ended up giving that belt. So I wonder if that's going to be the same case here. Is he gonna he's gonna wait until the purse bid happens and then we see what goes on and be like, am I gonna really fight Keyshawn for, I don't know, maybe 2.5? Nah. Not when I'm seeing Shakur Stevenson get like 15 million guaranteed under Zuffa. So
no, I agree with you 100% that I think all these things are going to play a factor into this. I think the zone is going to play a part in this conversation as well, because now we're seeing the zone be a little bit more willing to give these exclusive offers, and they look like they're getting involved. They've been involved a lot since this 2026 has started, as far as in getting involved with these fights being made, right? As far as that part of the conversation is concerned, they're getting involved with the fights being made, as well as giving fighters like Teofimo Lopez. And like I said, Richardson Hitchin has gone on record to say that they offered him a deal as well. And Shakur Stevenson has gone on record to say that as well. So if they do get involved in that part of the conversation where they're willing to help finance and make this lucrative enough for Bill and Devin Haney, then that's also part of the conversation. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, it would be if they want to, go ahead and invest in a fight like that. It just depends on if, Dev and the team is going to be, going for that, or if they're really serious about fight with Shakur Stevenson. Because, I mean, we know that Dev could have fought Rolly, for the, the belt that Rolly got, WBA, but, it just didn't work out that way. So now we have this almost like a similar situation where it's like, okay, we're waiting on what Devin Haney is going to do when he should have been fighting already.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you 100%, man. I think we just got to wait to see how it plays out. I think it's a very important week in the conversation. I think this week is where the conversation really legitimately happens, right? Like between us as fans, pundits, whatever you want to call it in the space, we've been having our own conversation for the past month and a half to 2 months. But it seems like this week is the conversation, right? Between the WBO, between Devin, between Keyshawn, or all parties involved as far as having vested interest in that fight happening. Let's see what that conversation pans out with. I'm going to pull up a clip right here. Hold on 1 second here, man. Hold on, he said here, why he should have been fighting already. I don't know. Where do y'all get this from? I mean, shout out to Stock Chasers. He's not gonna get it. You'll get an opportunity to come up later, Stock Chasers for sure, bro. So what I want to do is, are you gonna hang out on the boxing source, or you just kind of wanted to come up and do it right quick?
And I got like about 10, should be about 10 minutes, I think.
Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna pull up this clip right here. Shout out to my brother from Champ Side, man. I hope he doesn't mind me pulling up his content here. Normally he doesn't care, but hopefully he doesn't. You never know, right? Let me see here. Boom. Is that up here? Yes, it is. Boom. Open this up and let's hear Bill Haney kind of talk to you. Champ offers a good question right here. And I think Bill Haney, in his best way, answers the question, knowing that Bill Haney is a very articulate, careful speaker when it comes to the media. He may say a lot when he's talking, but he doesn't say a lot when it's all said and done, right? But he says a lot of times enough if you can pick up on it, if that makes any sense to anybody in the building. Let's see what Bill has to say to this question that Champ's not asking.
What do you think is like I guess for like the fans out there, right? We all spectators, we can't be behind the scenes, but what do you think is going to determine your next direction? I mean, so you got fans that are hold on. I just want to say this real quick. So you got fans that are waiting on this purse bid situation because they believe that it'll determine if Devin keeps.
No. The purse bid and him was determined by he went looking for Debo, right? I don't know why you went to Craig's house talking about you looking for Debo when you should have went to Debo's house, because guess what? You'd have got everything you was looking for. So you never really went to his house, for one. Let's talk about it right there. I said, man, what you mean he went to Craig's house? He went to the...
Okay, so like I said, Bill Haney, we got to take a moment to kind of break down what he says, right? Because right there, he's talking about Debo, he's talking about Craig, he's making a lot of references to Friday, right? So clearly we know Debo is Dev, right? That's who he's talking about when he's talking about Debo. As far as Craig's house is concerned, I'm not too sure who he's talking about on that. But what I sum up from it more importantly is that he's basically saying, well, Keyshawn didn't come to us to make the fight. He tried to go around us and make the fight happen to maybe Craig is the WBO. Maybe Craig is, these other people who are involved in the conversation, but basically saying if he would have came directly to him, the fight would have happened. What do you think about that, the boxing source? Is that really being transparent in what he's saying? How do you feel about him saying that if he really wanted the fight to happen, he would have came directly to Devin or Debo, quote unquote, rather than going to Craig's house?
I'm not sure about that because, one way or another, Keyshawn's team enforces the situation. They pretty much found a way to, become the WBO mandatory challenger for the welterweight championship, which is a whole situation that's, for me, it's kind of strange as it is. But either way, they made that mandate happen. So from that point, it's like, okay, they're pretty much making that statement of, okay, we want to have this fight with Devin Haney. So now it's up to Devin Haney and his team to work out a deal with Keyshawn Davis and his team. And then if they can't, then, hey, it's a purse bid. So that's what ended up happening. They had 20 days. 20 days have passed, and now the purse bid is scheduled.
No doubt. Shout out to everybody in the building, man. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. My guy Stock Chaser says Keyshawn did a skit. That's where that came from. Well, let me go a little deeper into it, Stock Chasers. I'm very aware of the skit. I know what he's talking about. But like I said, just watching Bill Haney over the years, I've learned to listen to him closely. Bill Haney never says nothing for nothing, but he never says too much. So when he's talking metaphorically about this fight being made, what I heard is he should have came directly to us. If he really wanted to make the fight, he would have pressed us. I would argue, Bill, respectfully, that Keyshawn did press you guys at the boxing, at the weigh-ins of Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez, the same card that Keyshawn was on when he was getting ready to fight Jermaine Ortiz, and that he did kind of press you and put the onus on you to make the fight happen, right? On the back end of whatever this performance is going to be, if I stop this guy, if I dominate this guy, Jermaine Ortiz, then me and you can be next, right? And, Bill confirmed it and even hit him with a, do you promise? Do you promise? So I think in multiple different ways, Keyshawn did go directly to Bill, but I think when it came down to it, the businessman in Jay Prince understood business had to be done, right? That he didn't feel that Devin was going to voluntarily make the fight happen. Or how about this? Just in case anybody wants to push back at that, maybe Devin didn't have the power to make a fight happen, being that he doesn't have a machine behind him. Clearly, Turkey wasn't involved in that conversation. We know that because I've seen Bill Haney speak on that, saying that the offer on the table, as far as Zuffa and Turkey was concerned, was exclusively Shakur Stevenson, not Shakur and Keyshawn. So that fight was always going to be something that Bill and Devin were going to have to figure out how to make on their own. So that being said, Jay Prince put on his business hat and made the business moves, right? Where he started to get a purse bid narrative involved in the conversation to force this fight to happen. Petition the WBO, put Keyshawn at that number one spot and make him a mandatory. But let's hear Bill continue to speak on this.
The porch yelling for Debo. Why the fuck would Debo be at Craig's house? Now, with all the big fly mansions and pads and shit and all the state, I've never heard Keyshawn outside of one of Devin's joints looking for him. So when you talk about looking for Debo, I don't know. Because why? Nigga, where did you go?
My dentist asked what I was doing to whiten my teeth. I told her I just started chewing Loreen Co. Loreen's RMX 50 comp.
So y'all not even y'all aren't like even, because the fans think that y'all are trying to hammer some shit out for the, you know, whatever the 30 days, but y'all aren't even talking.
King. No, yes, King, listen. We're hammering it out with the same person. Jay Prince, he got both the guys.
Right.
I told him, I said, if somebody see Jay, ask him the question. Right? And I know some people don't necessarily have the vernacular to spit it to him the way that they need to spit it to him like I would. So I sent the scribe over the open airwaves to him and saying, what's happening on the word, my man? You said, you know, you said that in front of everybody. What's happening with the 144? After the 144, you said that. He sent Keyshawn over there through the side door with the pressure on the WBO to make some fight happens. And then said,
now, I got to be honest with you guys, that's a little disingenuous. We've already gone through the timeline here. May 10th, the 144 conversation was ended by Bill Haney and Jay Prince. On May 10th, on Wally, well, I said Wally, I always do this, Wallow and Gilly, Bill Haney had confirmed we're not doing 144. It's only happening at 147, and Jay Prince followed up with, there you have it. That being said, May 28th was when the purse bid was put in. You know, you're saying what happened with that 144. The 144 was put to bed. That's why Keyshawn got put into position. It wasn't Keyshawn getting put into position to stop Shakur Stevenson from making a 144-pound fight. Would you agree with that? But I mean, I know that's a timeline, but is that how you remember it? The boxing tour?
No, I guess that's what it was, because I didn't catch the thing there as far as like what, you know, Bill was saying in reference to the 144 thing. So if he, you know, said what you were basically talking about, kind of like putting Dev at 147, then that's how, you know, Jay Prince and them enforced that situation, you know. So
yeah, 100. You got some background noise going there, Dan. Thank you. 100%, man. Hold on, $1 million worth of game, Bill Haney. 100% that happened on May 10th for sure. That definitely. Hold on 1 second. So 1 second here. Let me do this. 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 Let me do that. Let's put that up together and do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. You know, I would never negotiate against, you know what I mean, you know, myself, nor would I negotiate against Devin without him present. But one thing that I can say is that Devin is the baddest motor scooter at 147 motherfucking pounds. And he's the welterweight champion of the world, the king of the welterweight division, the money division, the glamour division, something that, you know, not only has my guy, my big homie, right, that taught me that it's time to get the money. And whoever wants to mix it up at 147 pounds for that, you know what I mean, then that's what we're gonna go with. And
so if it's at a catch weight, if it's at a catch weight 144, then it wouldn't be for the belt.
No, nor to me would it represent what a truly a potential five division champ, and Shakur would make him. Devin, the youngest undisputed champion, 3 division title holder. You know what I mean, and somebody that's you know what I mean, hard to deal with. So I think that it's a great fight at 147 pounds when they're ready to go. You know, at 147 pounds if that's what they want to do. But we're not going down no more pounds.
Okay. So there y'all have it. They're not going down. We're not going up.
Yes, sir. But
that's it, right? So that closed that conversation, right? This was on May 10th. This happened. May 28th was when the actual move was made by Jay Prince. May 27th, to be exact, is when Keyshawn Davis' team, which I'm assuming is Jay Prince, petitioned the WBO for that spot. It was already understood on May 10th from that day on what would it happen right there, as Gilly asked Bill Haney directly the question that needed to be asked, right? Because, you know, Bill Haney has a way of wording things and adding that flavor to it to where you can get kind of lost in the confusion and the sauce of what he's saying. But the fight was dumb. That being said, though, we're here where we are right now. That's the most important thing. I'm not trying to go back and forth with proving timelines and everything like that. Where we are right now, though, is the WBO has ordered this fight to happen, and they've ordered these guys to figure it out. And if they don't figure it out by the 27th, then there will be a purse bid, right? So I want to know and ask you something, the Boxing Source. As far as you understand the purse bid situation, is this week the week where if there's going to be some offers made or some big money on the table that those guys get in that conversation? Or does that happen after July 27th when the purse bid actually goes off? What is this? Why did they not do it today? Why did they announce it for July 27th?
Because they had the 20-day period for negotiations. Once that runs out, then the purse bid is scheduled. So Devin Haney's team and Keyshawn Davis' team had 20 days to negotiate that fight to see if they could come to an agreement. And since they didn't, then that's why you had the purse bid that's ordered by the WBO.
Okay, so are we including this week in that negotiation window, being that they're saying the purse bid doesn't start till July 27th?
No. Purse bid is the purse bid. That date is set.
Boom. Okay. So other people haven't really shown interest in the fight yet as far as money is concerned yet. So they're going to put a purse bid there where, you know, anybody who wants to, you know, the minimum from what I understand is $200,000. And, you know, I don't expect it to be that low. I'm expecting to be a bidding process and the price to go up, right?
No, I'm gonna just run this and then I gotta roll out. So
okay.
When the WBO initially put in the mandatory order, the parties for Devin Haney or Devin Haney Promotions or whoever's, you know, managing Devin Haney and Top Rank, along with the manager there, they had the 20 days in order to negotiate to see if they could come to an agreement for a fight. If not, then the WBO would schedule a purse bid if they didn't come to an agreement within 20 days. Today was when the 20-day deadline was over. So with that being said, that is why the WBO scheduled the purse bid and said it would be for the 27th at, I guess, 11 p.m. their local time.
11 a.m., right.
Yeah, 11 a.m. their local time. So regardless of what, you know, people will say this week, it doesn't really matter. Once it's open for purse bid, opening bid is $200,000, but I mean, whoever puts in the bid, they're gonna put, of course, much more than $200,000. It's just that that's, you know, according to the WBO rules. So that's how it is.
No doubt. I appreciate you, man. I know you gotta go, man. I appreciate you, man. Thanks for popping up.
Claymore, man. All right, yo, I'll catch you later.
Salute. So yeah, man. Shout out to Lil Zuda in the building, man. Says Africa in this house. Nice to see you on TBV, no doubt. No doubt, man. Appreciate you, man. Shout out to J Pitt City in the building with the $5. Let me wait for the sound to go because I know my sound gets blocked out sometimes. Says Key is going to petition for a higher split, and the WBO is going to tell him hell nah. Listen, the business is the business, right? Keyshawn Davis's business, as far as, and let's talk about it. When we're talking about the business, we're talking about Jay Prince, right? We're talking about the guy who coordinates and makes sure that Keyshawn Davis, Shakur Stevenson, any of his fighters get as much as they can out the deal. So I think naturally, if we're talking about negotiations and the bare minimum is, 75-25, I expect Jay Prince to go ahead and, make a counteroffer and say, hold on, let's do a 70-30 or 65-35, or let's do something else. Let's do something for my fighter as well. But, I think when it's all said and done, if it has to be 25%, that's going to be the moment of truth for Keyshawn Davis. Because if he allows this to slip away from him because of the percentage, this fight right here is not about, it shouldn't be about money exclusively for Keyshawn. This is his opportunity. This is his signature fight. We've been watching Keyshawn Davis for the past month and a half, 2 months, call out Isak Pitbull Cruz, call out Richardson Hitchens, call out Devin Haney, call out anybody who can give him a fight. And he was forced to fight a Nahir Albright, right, in his hometown of Norfolk, Virginia. So this guy, in my opinion, doesn't have that much room to continue to just, outprice himself. If he does that, it's going to start speaking towards, do you really want the fight or don't you want the fight, right? That being said, though, if the Keyshawn Davis fight does come together, if that's what we're looking at comes together, the conversation is going to be, is this a 50-50 fight, a 60-40 fight, a 65-35 fight? Is this 60-40 one-way versus, for Devin? Is it 60-40 for Keyshawn? The experience on the table tells everybody bet on Devin. And even me, I'm not betting against Devin, right? I already did that with the Brian Norman Jr. fight. You guys saw that. I'm sure you guys, it's been spraying through the space and y'all want to hold. You picked Brian Norman. Yes, I did, right? I had my reasons. If you saw the buildup and you saw me break down why I picked that, and matter of fact, in that breakdown, most people thought I was going with Devin Haney because I gave Devin Haney so many winning points in that. But the one important thing was going to be that mental aspect. He had been in a very traumatic fight with Ryan Garcia. We saw the way he fought against Jose Ramirez. So, yeah, man, I said I got Devin Haney being able to win this fight in multiple ways, but I thought it might have just been Brian Norman Jr.'s time, his momentum that he was building on the back of some great performances, great knockouts off a particular knockout of the year. I thought he was going to be in his zone. It is what it is. Devin Haney showed and proved to me and to the world, never bet me against me again, which I won't do. I'm leaning towards him to beat a Keyshawn Davis. But other pundits in the space, other pugilists in the space haven't necessarily agreed with me on that, right? In particular, one guy, you know what I'm saying? Let me pull it down and pull it up here. One guy looks at it a little bit differently right now, right? As my guy, Gary Antoine Russell, somebody who I respect in the game on a high level, not just for what he does in the ring, but what he does outside of the ring. I think this dude has a real mind for boxing. And here's what Gary Antoine's position is on that fight and how he sees that fight going and what he really thinks is the most important thing to look at in that fight, right? Shout out to my brother Ness here who did this great interview right here. Ness asked a question. Gary Antoine Russell had to oblige with an answer.
Yeah, the Sheik opportunity.
See the lip.
Yeah, you don't believe none of that?
He don't want to fight Keyshawn.
Oh, he don't want to fight Keyshawn?
Man, look, I'm trying to tell you, he really don't.
So really you got Keyshawn beating him?
Yeah.
Oh,
he better pity pat him and run. See, a lot of people think that Keyshawn can work his way to get in the inside because Devin is a high class boxer. Like he do know how to box. He will box your ass. He would keep you right at the end of his jab, line you up with the left hand, move, good lateral movement. But he don't really have that true firepower. Brian Norman, he just ran into a little flash knockdown, John. A little flash knockdown left hand. I said, okay. You thought you was going to Debo your way in there. Like these guys don't got 8-ounce gloves on. Like I said, everybody can pop with those 8-ounce gloves on. The difference is Devin Haney got a little more precision, punching. And one of those shots landed on him. Because he want to walk in stupidly. But I don't got that working with Keyshawn. I don't got that. And even after he was hurt, he got up and still pressed Devin out. Still was walking in like, man, you ain't going to hurt me with that shit no more. Devin Haney was just smart enough to get the hell out the way. He's boxing him up. Pop, pop, move. Pop, pop, move. Grab if you got to. Stick downstairs. Keep you at bay. I don't think that's going to work with Keyshawn. Styles make fights, and Keyshawn got a completely different style than Brian Norman. I'm telling you.
Now, I know a lot of people in the building are like, oh, Gary Antoine Russell doesn't like Devin Haney. That's cool, right? That might very, very well be true. I don't know that he doesn't like Devin per se. He might not like the way Devin fights. But, you know, and I see people also leaning towards the side of the fact that Brian Norman Jr. was also picked by Gary Antoine Russell, which is, I mean, I picked Brian Norman Jr., right? I think the bigger question is, what is it? Hold on a second here. Okay, I got a message here. Okay, cool. I think the bigger question is, what is it that makes these punchers so dangerous for Devin Haney? Why does it seem as if the whole entire boxing space is very convinced on who Devin Haney is as far as a boxer is concerned, but it always has some nervous energy built around the biggest punchers in the game? You know, speaking on Devin Haney, even people who may have spoken about a Devin Haney and a Jorge Linares fight coming together and what happened when Linares touched Devin Haney and how he got hurt, or speaking to the fact that you might have seen him get hurt a little bit by Vasily Lomachenko, or, you know what I'm saying, you've seen him get hurt, you know what I'm saying, by Ryan Garcia, or all these different scenarios, and how, you know, even the weight bully jacket that they try to put on Devin Haney, as far as why are they saying that? And, you know, I think the reality is, the pushback is the idea that Devin Haney hasn't been in the fight with that balanced fighter who's a dangerous puncher, athletic, and brings a pedigree to be able to box with him well enough to, right? Because even if Keyshawn Davis isn't truly a better boxer than Devin Haney, the question isn't, is he better? Is he good enough to get inside that lead hand, bring this fight to a mid-range, close-range space fast enough and strong enough to touch Devin Haney on that chin, hurt Devin Haney? And if he's able to do that, doesn't that make him that much more of a dangerous fighter? And I think that's what people are speaking towards. And this is the threat that we're still waiting to see Devin Haney be in the ring with. We saw him in the ring with that against Brian Norman Jr., but there are arguments out there to say Brian Norman Jr., as my brother Gary Antoine Russell said here, pressed on the gas a little too early. He jumped in. He threw caution to the wind. He didn't respect Devin Haney enough, his ability to do what he did, and he ended up walking into a nasty left hand that did put him down. You know, arguably broke his nose, and like Mike Tyson says, everybody has a game plan until you get punched in the face, right? So that's going to be the test for for Devin Haney and Keyshawn Davis. And on the other side, Keyshawn Davis's biggest test today, right? If he gets inside of the ring with Devin Haney, his biggest test today is going to be this boxer, this high-level boxer in Devin Haney, who's proven over and over again at the minimum that he brings a pedigree that makes 8 out of 10 fighters unable to compete with him when he's able to control that range, control that distance, when his mind becomes focused on defense, when he's not willing to throw caution to the wind. It's very difficult to touch Devin Haney. As Bill Haney said before, right? Bill Haney said Devin showed the world with Jose Ramirez, if he doesn't want to get hit, nobody will hit Devin, right? So that's going to be the task ahead of Keyshawn Davis as he figures out how to meticulously take his time throughout 12 rounds to build himself up into a position to where he can set up that shot that can throw Devin Haney off, right? It is what it is. And keep in mind, of course, that Keyshawn Davis spars with Shakur Stevenson regularly, as Shakur Stevenson even spoke about the cheat code in this interview. I have an interview that I'm going to be playing a little bit of for Shakur, when Shakur speaks on the fact that Keyshawn Davis is his cheat code because he spars Keyshawn so much, he doesn't get into the ring. He's never gotten into the ring with somebody he believes is better than Keyshawn Davis. So on the backside of that, Keyshawn Davis sparring Shakur Stevenson may be the best sparring partner Keyshawn Davis can have to prepare him to get in the ring with a Devin Haney, right? It makes the fight very, 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 very interesting. Shout out to everybody in the building, 140 plus people in the building. Hit the like button if you haven't done so. Subscribe to the channel. Let's go to another clip here. We talked about Gary. Let's get into Shakur Stevenson because Shakur Stevenson has been on a since the announcement of Zuffa Boxing, right? And even a little bit before the announcement, the media space, we've all been watching Shakur Stevenson, but now that he's with Zuffa Boxing, he's way more vocal and he's doing a lot more interviews regularly, right? And it doesn't look like he's turning down any interviews with any of the big platforms. And he's answering some serious questions and putting some perspective on what a lot of us have been speculating on for a minute here. I'm going to take a moment to go ahead and pull this down right here and pull up the Shakur Stevenson interview right here. And let's see Shakur speaking specifically on this Devin Haney situation and everything that's been happening. Let's see what Shakur has to say real quick here.
But I always ain't want to just like step on Keyshawn's toes at the end of the day. So I never just like when they say, oh, 144 right now, go do this right now at this time. But I think they were social media playing. Like they play like social media games. But I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it. Now that Keyshawn is mandatory and they have no choice but to either fight him or drop the belt and come and fight me, I'm fine with however it goes. So
get your hand raised like a
that part, right? That's the only part I needed anyway, so they can play their little commercial if they want to. It's all good, right? But what Shakur basically speaking to, right? The whole idea of vacating the belt and what that actually means. Why are you asking this guy to vacate this belt? He speaks on it. I don't want to step on the toes, but I think more importantly, Shakur's made it clear that at this point, maybe he didn't understand, maybe it wasn't made clear to him, but at this point, he seems comfortable with the idea of, listen, man, if you want to fight me next, fight me next. The WBO has made their position clear. Now that the purse bid has been put into motion, we know what's going on. You're either going to fight me and be stripped of that belt, or you're going to fight Keyshawn Davis and defend that title. Whatever happens, I'm good with it. We can move on in the conversation here. Let me see here what's going on here. Manyor says, I definitely will on FanDuel, not trying to get, okay, we talking about something. I thought you talking about something else. I'm like, what happened here? We talking about some bets here? Let me see. That step forward shit gonna get broken down by Shakur and exposed for the shoe shiner he is. Okay, we're having some deep conversations in the chat. No, I'm gonna mind my business. I'm gonna get back to building on it. Shakur also spoke on, he's obviously right there. He's speaking on the whole entire, hold on one second here. Hold on one second here. Bear with me here. No, this is not what I want. I don't want this here. I want this here. I want this here. I want this right here. Boom. Okay, that's not, it didn't work out for me. It is what it is. It is what it is. So Shakur seems to be good in his position the way it is. It is what it is. We'll be looking to see what Devin is going to do. Watching Devin, by the way, speaking on the fact that Devin Haney jumped on that scale and hit that 159 point, whatever it was. I know it stirred the whole entire boxing space crazy. I didn't put too much weight in it. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I really just didn't put too much weight on it because you just don't know. It's weight. I know Devin Haney's been in a hard body camp for the past month and some change. I think in Miami is where he's been. So yeah, and like Shakur Stevenson commented on it and spoke to it, speaking about the whole entire making the weight situation and saying that I put this challenge out, over a month ago, and now he's doing it. It doesn't matter. Like Shakur said, the most important thing at the end of the day is if we're agreeing at 144 pounds is where we're fighting at. Show up on the scales when you're supposed to at 144, and whatever you blow up to after that is what you blow up to. Let's just make the fight happen. And I think that's where we are right now at this point in the game. Now that Shakur Stevenson has been put over at Zuffa Boxing, we know what Zuffa Boxing's interested in doing. We know the WBO's position. We're in the midst of 1 week away from the actual purse bid. I don't think any other conversation really needs to happen as far as whose fault is what, who weighs what, who's a weight bully, who blows up 20 pounds on the night of the fight, who's whatever, right? We don't really need to have that conversation. At the end of the day, let me see, it don't matter when he wrong. It don't matter. I don't matter when he wrong. Okay, well, Big Money, elaborate a little bit. You know what I mean? If you're talking to me, let me see. HLD says, Clay, pay no mind to the Bronx. It is what it is, right? So we'll see how that develops. Another conversation that I want to get into before I get into opening up the panel and things of that nature and bringing, I think I see Vega right there in the Discord as well. So I'm gonna be looking to bring him up as well to hear what he has to say, is the Virgil Ortiz situation. Virgil Ortiz opens up the conversation now to speak on what's going on here with him and this whole Golden Boy situation, this whole Jerron Boots Ennis situation, the Sebastian Fundora situation, his relationship with the WBC as an interim champion. And I thought it was a very interesting interview that Chris Mannix was able to put together here. Hold on one second. Let me do this. Pull this up here. I want to pull this up. Let's see here. Share. Boom.
This week has been the resolution of the differences between Virgil Ortiz and Golden Boy Promotions. The two sides issued a statement this week that effectively said they are ready to get back to work, which includes potentially making the hotly anticipated fight between Virgil and Jerron Boots Ennis. Virgil Ortiz joining me now to discuss all that. So big picture, Virgil, how are you feeling now that this has all been resolved?
I'm very happy, actually. You know, it's I've been away from the ring for too long. I've been in the gym, but you know, it's not the same. It's not the same just doing regular maintenance and get ready for a fight. You know what I mean? So I'm very excited to get back into the ring and start sparring again and just get back into my zone, you know?
So tell me kind of what the last few months have been like for you. I mean, we know you were inching towards a deal to fight Boots in the spring. It seemed like things were getting close. Then everything on your end kind of falls apart. Like, what were these last few months like?
It just kind of feels like Groundhog Day, you know, wake up, go to the gym, and then just kind of like, all right, now what? You know what I mean? I was just kind of in limbo and, but not hopeless. That was the thing. You know, I knew things were going to eventually work out. So I just kept faith, you know, in my promoters, in my managers, my coach, my dad, you know, I knew that it was all going to work out.
Things did seem to get kind of personal there for a while between Oscar and your manager, Rick Meridian, between Oscar and your father, even between Oscar and I guess you to a certain degree. Have you been able to kind of put all that aside? Do you feel like that's in the rearview mirror now?
You know, it's boxing's a business, right? So I feel like I'm not sure how to answer that one, so let's leave that one out. You know what I mean? Let's leave that one out.
Yeah. I thought that was very interesting for Virgil to decide to take that position on it. Virgil always has shown me to be somebody who tries to be as transparent and honest as possible. But I think in the past couple of months, since he's been going over this thing with Oscar De La Hoya, he's learned a lot about himself. He's learned a lot about the business of boxing, and probably has learned a lot about, you know, the difference between the business making sense versus the confidence people have in you, and him realizing a lot of this is going to be him standing on his own to make this happen, right? A lot of this is going to be however he feels about himself as far as being however he feels about himself in his ability to win or his ability to fight and perform. That's all going to be based off of him and his personal team, as far as his father, his trainers, and things that are concerned. But when it comes down to ultimately putting these fights together, the business has to make sense, especially when you have a manager like an Oscar De La Hoya or any kind of, you know, person managing your finances, or promoter, should I say, like Oscar De La Hoya, because his manager is Rick Meridian. You know, understanding how that works, he's getting kind of a fast track lesson in the business of boxing, right? Oh, I see what this is doing here. That's crazy. Okay. So all these things are starting up that way. Hold on a second here. That's crazy. Let's do this instead. Let's do this instead. Hold on one second here. Let's do this instead here. Very interesting on how this works here. It sets itself up. I'm about to literally collect these.
Well, I'm starting to be, because I feel like I have to be. And I don't know. It's a bit of a change of character. I'm just starting to care less and less, you know, because at the end of the day, you know. For instance, for instance, right? One, the fight doesn't happen with Jaron Ennis. Oh, I'm ducking the fight. You know, Virgil Ortiz doesn't want to fight Jaron Ennis. Now we're calling him out. Oh, he's begging for the fight. You like what kind of logic is that? You know, I just respectfully, that is just stuff that I deal with and other boxers deal with on a day-to-day basis. That doesn't make any kind of sense. I just don't understand how the gears are working up there. You know, like they're turning the wrong way. I don't get it.
Yeah. He's right. You know, this space is fickle, you know, but once again, this is another one of those situations, in my opinion, where it's not about you, Virgil. I think what's really happening here is your manager, right? It's Oscar De La Hoya. It's the fact that the fight was there and you guys allowed the fight to go away by, you know, trying to, in the last minute, scream out Errol Spence Jr. in Dallas Cowboys stadium, started to scream out A-side, B-side politics and leverage and all these things and making it public in the world and ultimately being the biggest obstacle in the fight happening when you guys moved in a way to where you were calling out Jaron Ennis, saying he's the one who didn't want to make the fight, saying he's the one getting in the way of it. He was taking the tune-ups. He didn't come up when Turkey Al-Sheikh offered him the opportunity, which I think there's an argument there to back that argument from you guys, if that's the position you're taking. But I think on the back end of what happened inside of that ring in between Jaron Ennis and Virgil Ortiz Jr., that fight was sold to the world at that point. Everything was said in between you and Jaron Ennis in the ring that day. It wasn't speculation. It wasn't a clap back from Oscar De La Hoya on a Thursday. It wasn't, you know, interviews with Robert Garcia or interview with your father or interviews with Eddie Hearn. This was a situation where both you guys were inside the ring face to face and pretty much made it known to the world that this is the next fight that needs to happen. On the back end of seeing it not happen, a little bittersweet with the fans, without a doubt, right? A little bit bittersweet with the fans, without a doubt, and that turned into what it needed to turn into. It just is what it is. But I could definitely understand where Virgil's coming from as far as the fans basically putting him out there and saying, like, at the end of the day, saying that it basically makes no sense as to why people would say that about me. In one moment, you're saying I don't want the fight. Now I'm calling out for the fight, and you guys are saying that what's really happening is I'm being thirsty right now and I'm clout chasing, right? Now, here. Okay, here we go. This is the other video clip that I want to put up here. This one right here is going to be specifically about the WBC as Virgil Ortiz speaks on that whole entire WBC situation and puts this into perspective.
You know, we met with Golden Boy. We were on the phone side by side with Golden Boy with Mauricio, and we asked for the fight. I am also not going to pretend I know how it works either, because I thought that if you had the interim, you were next in line. So, I mean, I'm just as confused as everybody else.
When you talked to Mauricio about that, what was his response?
I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even really understand it, because and it's not. I don't know whose fault it is. Is it my fault? Am I just dumb? Or, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't get it. I just, for me, it's just, for me, it's simple. I have the interim, I should be in line, right? It's not, I want to stay interim forever, right? Like, I want my shot. I really honestly don't get it. I just don't get it.
As you've watched the last few months, where it seems like your division has kind of got some even more juice to it. Like the Boots Xander fight was a good fight. Now you've got Fundora coming over, DAZN inking a deal with PBC, which presumably makes a lot of these fights a lot easier to make. Has that given you any extra juice? Like now seeing all these fights that you've been kind of wanting, calling for, like it just seems to me, throw Josh Kelly into that mix. Like they're all available. Like they're all right there for a fighter like you to get these opportunities.
It's more or less the same climate, if I'm being honest. I just feel like I'm just knocking on the door of one of those big fights, and I'm waiting on those opportunities. So that's exactly where I was 2 years ago. You know, I don't know. I feel like I'm almost like blacklisted in a way. You know what I mean? That's how I honestly feel. When Madrimov had won his WBA title, I believe.
Yeah. And Virgil just basically expressing his confusion about what we always talk about every day on the show, which is that traditional space of boxing that is not a merit-based system, right? It's not a meritoriously based system where if you earn it, you get it necessarily. A lot of politics obviously go into the way things move around in boxing in this traditional space, where just because you become an interim title holder does not put you in line. And clearly, Virgil very confused about that, right? I see some people in the chat speaking on, questioning his intelligence of, the fact that he doesn't understand these things. How in the hell did you come to that conclusion and not know that this is the way it works in boxing? But I have to co-sign Virgil from the point of view of a fighter and say, from a fighter's point of view, if his managers are in position, if they're having these conversations with Mauricio Suleiman, if they're bidding or calling out for these fights to happen and they're not happening, then there is a confusion that's going to happen from Virgil Ortiz's side of the conversation. And that's happening. And it happens every day in boxing. Virgil won't be the first, he's not the first, and he won't be the last to kind of go through all these things, right? It is what it is. That being said, we'll see how that plays out. Virgil Ortiz probably looking to leverage that WBC interim title. If it was a perfect world outside of the Jerome Boots Ennis fight happening, he'd probably be trying to leverage a fight with Sebastian Fundora. What's going to be in his way? Well, if Boots wants the Sebastian Fundora fight, what will Sebastian Fundora do? Will he fight Jerome Boots Ennis and make a big unification fight against one of the most dangerous fighters, gifted fighters in the space, Jerome Boots Ennis, as far as Sebastian Fundora is concerned? Or will he choose what he may possibly think is the better route, maybe going through a Virgil Ortiz? Obviously, Jerome Boots Ennis comes with a lot of attention right now, a lot of momentum building up behind Jerome Boots Ennis on that victory with Xander Zayas. So if Jerome really does want that Sebastian Fundora fight next, maybe you could argue that it makes more sense for Sebastian Fundora to fight Jerome Boots Ennis, right? What will Virgil do if that doesn't come together? We know that Virgil doesn't like the whole idea of the IBF with the rehydration clause. He doesn't like that, right? At least his family and his team doesn't like that. We've known he had issues at 147 with that whole entire weight cut that almost ended his career, hurt his health, maybe potentially almost, derailed his life cycle, right? Take that how you want to take it. So what is Virgil going to do next? We got to see what Oscar De La Hoya is able to negotiate. I know Rick Meridian is a beast. He's a dog. He's going to fight for the biggest opportunities for Virgil Ortiz. I have interviews that I've seen. I've definitely seen interviews here where I've seen Bozianis, Eddie Hearn, Jerome Boots Ennis, all of them have spoken to the idea of Virgil not being a big priority right now. Yesterday's price is not today's price, as Boots is he's very much so legacy first as far as the way he processes what's important to him as far as what his next fight is going to be. So Virgil doesn't bring any of that to the table, right? What he brings to the table for Jerome Boots Ennis is potentially a big payday, a big fight, which is, like Eddie Hearn said, a great thing. But for somebody like Jerome Boots Ennis, you have to understand how his gears move, how his psychology operates inside the boxing space. His psychology is built around the legacy part of this sport, building up his legacy on becoming unified, lineal titles, undisputed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Virgil Ortiz, on the back end of seeing what Jerome Boots Ennis just did and becoming the one unified champion in the division right now, you got to know that the conversation may have changed a little bit for Jerome Boots Ennis. Ennis looks like he's looking to make a big fight, looking to unify. And you even got Josh Kelly, who's getting ready to fight this weekend as well. That could be a potential opportunity. That's an in-house fight for Eddie Hearn. So I don't think Virgil Ortiz is next on Jerome Boots Ennis's list. We got to see what Virgil Ortiz decides to do here. Shout out to my brother Leonard Sterling in the building. Leonard Sterling with the €5 says they wanted Boots to move up to 154. Boots decided not to. Wanted undisputed at 147. Unified with Stanionis. Had to leave. Got there at 154. Said yes and signed. Yeah, 100% Leonard Sterling. I believe that's exactly what happened. They wanted Boots to move up to 154. He wanted to stay at 147 to go ahead and unify. First, it was going to be with Brian Norman Jr. Then we saw how that ended up turning out for him and Emmanuel Stanionis. He unified, picked up a lineal title down there. And then he had to leave when he got there at 154. Yeah, he said yes and signed. Well, not before fighting Usama Lima, right? Leonard Sterling. So it is what it is, but that's how the ball bounces. That's how the needle moves when you stay outside of boxing because you're in dispute with your promoter and Oscar De La Hoya. That puts Virgil Ortiz on the outside looking in. In the meanwhile, Jerron Boots Ennis isn't going to sit still. He's making the biggest fights he can make possible, right? If you're not going to give me the fight, then the next step is definitely going to be what he did, which was against Xander, which was one of the biggest fights of the year, if not the biggest fight of the year. Now Jerron Boots Ennis is just another conversation. So Virgil has to kind of figure out and see what makes sense for him. Will Virgil maybe take a risk and fight a Josh Kelly and do that rehydration clause? He's been outside the ring for a minute. I don't know how big he's gotten. He says that he's not, he hasn't been training as if he's getting ready for a fight. He's just been trying to stay in shape. So we got to see what Virgil looks like on his return into the ring. Shout out to my brother HLD in the building. HLD says, Virgil's just a crybaby fool. Had the opportunity to fight Xander Zayas in Puerto Rico and turned it down. Boots took it in a heartbeat in mini Puerto Rico, New York City. That's a fact. But once again, I don't think that's necessarily, I'm not going to necessarily put that on Virgil like that, right? But look, I think the important conversation to have with the Virgils of the world, right? And I say the Virgils of the world. Who's the Virgils of the world? Sebastian Fundora could be considered a Virgil of the world. Who else could be a Virgils of the world? The fighters who refuse to be vocal in their own careers, who refuse to stand up to the powers that be, their managers, their promoters, who refuse to do what Xander Zayas did, right? Let his promoters know this is the next fight I want up, who refuse to do what the Errol Spence Juniors of the game have done, right? Step to their promoters and let them know, I don't want no other fight except for Terrence Crawford. I want to become undisputed. Those fighters get the fights that they want to get, that they need to get for their legacy. They don't allow promoters to get in their way on making these big fights. Virgil's having to learn the hard way that on the back end of doing all of those things to making the Jerron Boots Ennis fight happen, if you're not going to get your promoter, Oscar De La Hoya, on the same page as you, if you're not going to make that your business to do that and let him know there is no other fight on the table that I want to have outside that fight. You see, Virgil thought in his mind, Virgil believed that Oscar was just talking. He thought that Oscar knew what the assignment was, right? He thought when Oscar brought up Errol Spence Jr. fighting Virgil in Dallas Cowboy Stadium that he was just leveraging that just to do business with Eddie Hearn. No, he was arguably, right? We don't know exactly what goes on in Oscar De La Hoya's mind, but he was arguably trying to get you out of a fight he did not believe you could win, right? And he wanted to make it to, if you were going to lose that fight, that you were going to make the most money possible. We could focus even more on and say that he was going to make the most money possible because he felt like he invested in your career, got you to this point. You were deathly ill, got you back to being active, got you all those important fights in the super welterweight division, whether it was against Madrimov, whether it was against Bohachuk, whether it was those 3 tune-up fights you had that were catchweight fights, that you got all those second, third round, first round knockouts in. He thought, I want to get my money back. Let me see if I can get him as a champion. Let me build him up in a certain way so that we become profitable as an organization before we put you in the final boss, right, stage to where you could win, but probably will lose. Just giving you some perspective as to how I think Oscar De La Hoya was looking at it. Virgil didn't believe that until he really saw that the negotiations were falling apart, that things were being completely overpriced, and that it was looking less and less of a chance that the fight was going to happen. And Virgil tried to, at that moment, stand up for himself, put Rick Meridian into the conversation, and we saw how that ended up panning out. Even having Rick Meridian potentially reaching out to an Eddie Hearn, I don't know, or whatever the powers that be, maybe a Turkey Al-Sheikh, I have no idea. But at that point, Oscar started to feel the energy change, right? Where, hell, hold on, I'm the promoter. You're not going to eliminate me from the negotiation. You're not going to take me out of the conversation. But Virgil had to learn the hard way. Now he's back in the space to where he looks like he's ready to be a little bit more vocal. But how vocal are you going to be, Virgil? How vocal are you going to be this time around? Now that you've had a taste of how the business can treat you, how much more involved are you willing to be at the negotiation table? How much more, you know what I mean, outspoken are you willing to be on your own behalf, right? That's what we have to take a look at here. Shout out to my brother Sam from Jersey in the building with the $5. Says, why did Oscar and Virgil change their mind after the Xander fight? I thought the Oscar killed the notion. Sam, I've talked about this before. Now, that's what you're going to get here on this show, right? I'm going to give you my opinion. It is what it is. I know that, I'm not too good at just playing neutral. I'm not, if I really don't know, I don't know. But I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think the conversation ever changed for Virgil. I think Virgil always wanted the Jaron Boots Ennis fight. Did he have the courage to step to Oscar De La Hoya? It looks like he garnered up the courage a little bit late in the game and it ended up working against him, right? But I think what happened inside of that ring between Virgil Ortiz Jr. and Jaron Boots Ennis was genuine. I believe both those fighters that were in that ring had every intention on making that fight happen. I believe the politics outside of them got the best of that fight, in particular with Oscar De La Hoya. So who changed their mind after the Xander fight? In my opinion, Oscar changed his mind. I believe Virgil Ortiz always believed he could hurt Jaron Boots Ennis. He always believed that Xander Zayas, that he could beat a Xander Zayas or that he could beat a Sebastian Fundora. He's always believed all these things. But when you put all your faith inside of your management for them you believe that they're going to be super honest with you and that they're going to have all your best intentions at all times, or at least that their goals for you are going to align with your goals for yourself, things can change for you, right? I hope that makes sense. So Oscar and Virgil changing their minds? No, Oscar changed his mind. And in my opinion, Oscar's changed his mind because I believe the environment at the zone has changed. I think the whole ecosystem is a different ecosystem right now. And I think you have a zone that's way more vocal, way more involved, way more interested in the matchmaking that's happening on their platform. And I think now Oscar is playing ball with the zone to where he's not trying to get into it, going back and forth with the zone, stop big fights from happening. And of course, on the back end of seeing Jaron Boots Ennis showing a little chink in his armor potentially, maybe that's also motivated them and put them in a position where they believe they could win this fight a little bit more. So Oscar 100% is calling to be part of that conversation, knowing that Virgil already wants to be part of that conversation, right? I hope that makes sense. It is what it is. I'm going to put the link out there. I mean, listen, we talked about this. Oh my God, what the hell just happened here? I'm going to put the link out there. We talked about a couple of things. This show wasn't supposed to be all that long. Tomorrow is the big show, what I'm saying, when I have the whole panel on there. But I wanted to talk really on this Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson situation and kind of put that in Keyshawn Davis in the WBO situation, kind of put that on perspective because I'm expecting things to develop very fast as the week goes on. Obviously, we're going to see some interviews being done. There's going to be some media. Amazingly enough, we haven't heard anything from Keyshawn Davis in this conversation. So that's hilarious. I think he's probably taking the advice of the powers that be around him that'll probably tell him to keep his mouth shut, right? Just go ahead and, don't kill this saying too much or saying things that we have to stand on. Let's keep it where it has to be here. Shout out to my brother HLD in the building. HL, what's good, man?
What's going on, hermano?
I'm doing good, man. Just doing a pop-up, you know what I mean? Doing a Monday show.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I was surprised. I caught you a little bit on Ness this morning.
Yeah, interesting conversation with Ness today. It was a good show today, man. Shout out to Ness, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I caught the part when the two Puerto Rican retards were on there.
Yeah, man.
and what's his name? Round one and Low Nose. Put both of them together, man. You get one brain, maybe. But
oh my God, man!
Shout out to guys, sir, especially Low Nose. Low Nose is my brother. For sure,
man. Yeah, that was crazy. Mm-hmm.
Today, look, I mean, today's purse bid order, the official date for the purse bid order, is basically WBO business. They're just moving. They got to conduct their operation. This is what it is. This is what we're doing. Whatever Devin Haney decides to do, that's what they end up doing. But in the meantime, they keep it pushing. We have this date. Hey, it's surprising. It's going to be shown on YouTube, I guess, or whatever social media live. So they're trying to drive up the price with that, I guess. Make it see if they can make make some noise with it. But it doesn't even matter. Even after Monday, even after there's a purse bid, if the Devin Haney's decide that hey, someone else is giving them a better deal, they could just say, well, hey, bye WBO. They could do that at any time before a fight is signed. So
it's right. That's what this is about, right? Like this is. Like this week right here is there still can be offers put in there, negotiations can be done that
even after Monday,
right?
Even after Monday. Well, I mean, as far as negotiations between Keyshawn and Devin Haney, yeah, they could negotiate to not have to go to purse bid. But I think the Haneys would think that maybe they might be able to get who's backing the Haneys. I mean, like who's paying the Haneys to negotiate a deal? Ain't nobody. Right now, they don't have a promoter.
I still keep it in the air that the zone may be involved in this, and we just haven't been made aware of it. You know what I'm saying?
I look. The last time the Haneys had a purse bid, the zone didn't even care to bid on Devin Haney. That's how bad it was. They just didn't care to bid on Devin Haney. That's why Devin Haney vacated the WBC belt. So I mean, maybe there's a little bit more buzz now because it's a bigger profile with Keyshawn Davis. So maybe there could be a little bidding more to make it happen. If Matthew wants to get involved because it's a bigger profile fight, no doubt it is compared to Sandor Martin. I think it was with Devin Haney last time. So I could see that there could be a little bidding war but I mean, how much is the fight really worth? I don't know, maybe about 5-6 at the most is where I could see it happening, maybe. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But even after Monday's first bid. We know that supposedly Zuffa's in the air with them. If Zuffa says, you know what, we wanna hire, they could just drop the ball even then, even after next week. It doesn't matter.
Facts. Big facts. Hold on one second. Let me just see if this is working here. Vega, are you there? Vega, you take off mute if you're there. I think you should be tapped in and we should be able to hear you. Are you there? If you are there, Vega, just unmute yourself and let me know. I see you're back here in the Discord, but I don't know if did you hit the mute button, unmute button? Hold on a second. Maybe I'm missing something here. Hold on. Let me see. Yeah, Vega, I don't hear you. What's going on here? Are you muted?
Maybe he's gone.
I think he has to mute himself. Or is this something I need to do that I'm not doing? Hold on a second here. Let's see here. Okay, the mute's on. Boom. Okay, the mute is off now. You're not muted. Vega, you there?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Yo,
I hear him loud and clear. Yeah.
All right, Vega, what's good, family? What's on your mind, man? Appreciate you tapping in, man.
No, I'm just listening. I'm driving.
Okay, no doubt. Okay, so if you feel like tapping in, you can tap
Appreciate
in.
it, though.
No doubt. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, this bid can go in multiple different ways. I think, on Champ side today, it seems like Bill Haney was talking about he looks like he wants to make the Keyshawn Davis fight happen, right? Like they want to keep that WBO title is the way I'm looking at it in a perfect world. If the zone is involved in the conversation, it becomes potentially lucrative for Bill Haney. But if it is one of those like regular purse bids, from my understanding, Zuffa can't bid on this, right? As far as with the WBO is concerned, right? Isn't that what you're saying?
Unless hey, at any point in time they could just submit and just get the application, right? I mean, who says that they can't do that from now till Monday? You know what I mean?
Big facts.
This is all a negotiation thing. There's a lot of moving pieces it's very fluid. Because maybe Bill Haney said, well, let's see what we do get on purse bid. And maybe it's good enough. If it's good enough, we'll stick it here. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of moving pieces and that Bill is playing it smart. That's all. He's not locked in at any point right now. Until he signs the dotted line for a fight, he's not locked in. So maybe Zuffa decides to say, hey, we'll pay you guys this much to fight Shakur. Maybe they'll do that because if it's more than the purse bid, maybe they'll do. So I mean, Bill is playing this fluidly. He's smart. It's not the only thing that's locked in is that the WBO is just ordering the purse bid. That's it.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, without a doubt, I don't even think it's about as far as Shakur Stevenson that fight is concerned. I'm pretty sure Bill knows what the offer is, right? That Dana's not doing that. You know what I mean? There's an offer there, and it's lucrative, and Bill knows what that offer is. The question is, what is he going to get out of the Keyshawn Davis fight, and is he willing to take less He said on Champ side, it's going to be money. It's going to be legacy over money. That's what he said. We're back. It's legacy over money. We're fighting. He's got everybody thinking he's going towards Keyshawn. I'm be real with you, but you know when it's all said and done,
that could be the okie doke, right? For Zuffa, like, yo, man, you got to bring up the man, give him another $2 million, give him another $5 million. You know what I mean? It could be all.
Yeah.
We don't know. I'm just assuming this out, right? But I would play it like that. I'll play it to the last minute. You know what I mean? That's what you do. And so Bill is playing this smart. He's like, okay, we're gonna go that way. We're gonna pivot, and if Zuffa wants to bring in that money,
yeah.
Right, so what? $1,500 for the I mean, that's
nothing. I'll pay the fee.
Right, that's like what that So it's just a matter. And
we work something out, man. I'll pay the fee.
Or anybody else could bid for it if they're under Zuffa. I mean, if they're a promoter, they could just bid for them, and they could sub the fight over to Zuffa if they want. Anything can happen, bro. There's so many loopholes. But I think Bill is just playing it smart and good for him. But I think if they feel comfortable in beating Keyshawn, and I'm gonna lean Devin Haney beating Keyshawn. I am. I'm leaning Devin Haney is gonna school Keyshawn Davis if they fight. I see that in my opinion. But
I see it too. I see Devin Haney beating Keyshawn, man. I'm leaning though. I'm not like everybody else as far as the whole domination, as far as the whole Keyshawn doesn't belong in there with him, as far as the fact Keyshawn can't beat him. I don't see it that way. I feel like Keyshawn is a very gifted fighter, man. And I think if Devin messes around and has an off night, or you know what I'm saying, if Devin lets Keyshawn get a little too athletic in there, I think I'll tell you like this. If Devin Haney game plan is to be on his bicycle, I think that could be a bad thing for him. I think Keyshawn can catch him, cut that ring off, and find him. I think Devin Haney should use his size, press Keyshawn a little bit, box for sure, control the range. Don't make this a close range fight the whole night, but definitely I don't think Devin should be on his back foot all night against Keyshawn. I don't think that can work for 12 rounds unless he can stop Keyshawn. If he thinks he can walk Keyshawn into something and stop him in the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th round, whatever it is. But if it's a 12-round fight, I think eventually Keyshawn will figure that math out. I think he will break down all that movement, all that staying behind your jab, all that moving around. I think Keyshawn has the ability to cut that ring off. He's athletic. He knows how to do that. I think he fights the fight one of the best fighters in the world that can do that, and that's Shakur Stevenson. I believe he knows how to cut a ring off. That's what I believe.
I'm not gonna say he doesn't, but I mean, I'm gonna go off his last performance. And if my R&B singer was able to put it on him in a few moments in that fight, I could see Devin Haney doing the same. And we already seen that, Devin Haney does carry that crack. This is going to be the first fight for Keyshawn Davis at 147. Devin Haney's already did the 144. He already did the 147. I think Devin Haney is solidified right now going into his third fight at this weight division. And he's gonna be stronger than Keyshawn Davis.
I agree. I think Devin. I am leaning with Devin to win this fight. I don't want to, once again, you know what I mean? But I guess maybe it's the build the fight up version of me that just, when I see people sleeping on a fighter a little too much, I'm just like, hey, bro, don't. Not with Keyshawn, man. I'm telling you, don't sleep on him.
And I'm not picking Devin because about the sleeping, but I'm picking because I think Devin is a better fighter than Keyshawn, period.
Yeah.
Period. He's a bigger, stronger, better boxer than Keyshawn Davis today. And
he's definitely more proven. He's definitely a way more proven fighter than Keyshawn.
Now, what does this spell for Bill Haney? Well, if they feel confident in beating Keyshawn Davis, it's gonna be a nice profile name, and they do that. That leaves them open for now. Hey, Zuffa, do you still want me? At that point, how much now? Yesterday's price is not today's price. It's just gonna bring it up more for Zuffa, and they're gonna have to bring in the bigger bag for them, and they're gonna need him. They need him. Zuffa needs Devin Haney on there. They need him. I really believe they need him. If they're trying to grow this whole profile, they sign a big name with Shakur. They sign, but if it flips around and let's say he beats Keyshawn Davis and the zone decides to sign Devin Haney on an exclusive, that's gonna hurt the Zuffa business, in my opinion, as far as what they want to do with Shakur.
I don't think it will. I think people are I think time will tell. We'll see, but I don't think it will. I think without a doubt, Devin Haney coming over there is a good thing that helps them. That's what they'd want in the perfect world. In the perfect world, they want all the biggest stars, right? But without a doubt, I keep saying it over and over again. There's no way that these people signed Shakur Stevenson and have the success with all the money that they spent, have the success be dependent on a fight being made or 2 fights being made. Shakur actually spoke on this interview he had with Fight Hype where he talks about, what happens if he doesn't fight Devin Haney, right? If he doesn't fight Devin Haney, what's next? What's the game plan? Because they had to have entertained that this is possible, especially with the WBO and his mandatory situation being there. And he brought up some legitimate names. He brought up Lamont Roach. He brought up Gary Antoine Russell. He even brought up, obviously, the Tank Davis fights and those type of situations. But he brought up some fighters that aren't big stars, but that are good fights, because I believe that Zuffa Boxing is building their brand around great fights, good matchmaking. And I believe if Shakur Stevenson is willing to get inside the ring with somebody who's dangerous, who people can look at and be like, damn, that's going to be a dangerous fight or a competitive fight for Shakur, that's a fight that the Zuffa Boxing fan base or UFC fan base or WWE fan base, that demographic will respect and show up for fights like that. I think maybe the traditional space doesn't necessarily do it, but I think this new space that
I can see your angle. I can see your angle because it's definitely not going to be the traditional space. It's going to be that. It's going to be like you just said, right? The new that they're trying to touch and the new people that they're trying to reach out to. I can see that what you're saying. No doubt about it.
And they're going to be smart enough to market it in a way to where they're going to get that casual fan base, right? You're going to see them. You're going to see them on commercials, whether it's football as the season, gets ready to start up. You're going to see commercials on the UFC fights. You're going to see WWE rotating commercials. You're going to see Paramount rotating commercials. You're going to see big trailers, big production around, selling points to make this happen. Hold on one second though. Hey, no layers. I'm not familiar with you. If you could just turn your camera on real quick and then you could turn it off. I just need to make sure you're a real person, bro. There you go. No doubt. You good. You can turn it off. Salute, no layers. What's good with you, family?
Yo, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. Great to have you on the panel. What's good?
What's up? What's up? I'm not really understanding this. Devin Haney has way more skills than Keyshawn business. It don't really make sense to me. Like people saying he's gonna school him. He couldn't school Brian Norman. He landed 70 punches in a whole fight. He hasn't schooled anyone in a while, to be honest. His last performance at 144 was mediocre as well. And obviously before that it was Ryan Garcia. So I don't get all this Devin Haney hype. He hasn't been good since 135. I mean, unless you want to call that Regis Prograde performance something that we should respect. So this well, Keyshawn had a bad performance against Albright when he really didn't. He's done more in the last couple of fights than Devin Haney has.
I want to speak to this, right? And shout out to No Layer, because that's kind of my point to what you're saying. That's what I'm trying to say, right? Listen, when we're talking about Devin Haney, he is a fighter who I give a lot of respect to. I don't dismiss what he's done inside the ring, but I do argue as to whether or not he's done so much that he's too much for a Keyshawn Davis. I don't necessarily subscribe to that. Now, I think he's had more experience. I think he's been in there with the better competition. I think that he's a decorated fighter. He's got, his we can give him his respect for what he's done. But I'm telling you guys this also. At 147, this is another season for Devin Haney. This is another challenge for Devin Haney. This is not 135. Devin Haney doesn't beat everybody at 147. 140, Devin Haney, like my brother just said right here, didn't show me that he was a dominant fighter like that at 140. He did what he did with Regis Prograis, who hasn't aged well because Regis hasn't done nothing after that fight, right? To be like, you know what? Regis was a great fighter. He got in the ring with Ryan Garcia. PEDs or no PEDs, he got exposed to a certain degree, hurt multiple times, hit with a left hook that he couldn't get out the way of. He got, that's something that really happened to him. Then he goes in a hiatus. He comes back to 144 catch weight and runs around the ring from Jose Ramirez for 12 rounds or 10 rounds, however long that fight went. And we saw how that decision went. And then, yes, to give him his respect, with Brian Norman Jr., he dominated him, right? And I would say dominate him in the strength of he hurt him. And once he hurt him, Brian Norman Jr. did not seem like he had that fire in him to really make that fight into what I thought he could make that fight in. And everybody knows I picked Brian Norman Jr. to win that fight just based off.
We did.
Right? So I'm going to tell you that what I expected him to do is not what he did, right? Or tried to do, at least is not what he did. So that being said, getting ready to go into this fight after Brian Norman Jr. against a Keyshawn Davis, how many years of resume have I just talked about right there? And what fight in particular puts him in a place to where Keyshawn can't reach him and touch him and hurt him?
The two performances I'm going to put out there, or at least maybe three, in the like would be that Loma fight, would be the Regis Prograis fight, and would be the Norman Jr. fight. Those are the three fights. Those are the three fights. And the thing is, not on Devin Haney has been in the bigger spotlight fights. Period. Keyshawn has not been in no marquee fight of like, oh yeah, no, he hasn't. He hasn't fought anybody.
I mean, Keyshawn had a run at 135 when he made his return on the back end of that Nahir Albright, the first fight. He had a run, right? He had Jose Pedraza earlier in that year.
That guy was wagering.
No, but I'm just saying, just as far as the run he had that year, Jose Pedraza. Then he went into that fight with what's my guy's name? The fight after that he had with Medueno, which was a great fight, a dog fight, you know what I'm saying, where he showed he could be strong, you know what I'm saying, he could work on the inside.
Another wagering guy.
Right, okay, cool. Then he went with Gustavo Lemos, who blew weight, right? And, you know what I'm saying, he eviscerated him, right? Just showed that weight don't even mean nothing to him. Came in, blew weight, right? Then he went in and won the title against Dennis Berinchyk, you know what I'm saying, and dominated him, a champion who beat Emmanuel Navarrete for whatever it's worth, you know what I'm saying? And then he blows weight against De Los Santos. That was not a good time that was not a good look for Keyshawn Davis. But then he comes back and fights Jermaine Ortiz and beats his ass, dominates him, outboxes him, outclasses him for 12 rounds damn near, and stops him in the final championship round with body shots, which if you know anything about me on this channel, any fighter I see putting those kind of performances together and stopping people to the body, I always say those guys are to be feared because the patience and the poise to do that. Go ahead, Nolair.
Ortiz never been stopped before as well before that.
Big facts. And was in great fights, arguably beat Teofimo Lopez, right? Arguably. And gave Vasily Lomachenko all he can handle. You know what I'm saying? So he's not a nobody. He's somebody who's been in there with elite fighters, and none of them were able to do what Keyshawn Davis did to him.
So his biggest name claim is Jermaine Ortiz.
Jermaine. Listen. Who's a bigger? I would say there are people who would argue that Jermaine Ortiz is a way more experienced, way more on his resume, has way better fighters on his resume than a Brian Norman Jr. has. Yeah,
you can already say that.
Right. Say that. And then there's people out there who would say that Regis Prograis was broken. He was a broken record. He was skipping on the second track, right?
Well, I expected what he did to Regis Prograis was more expected, but what he showed in his own skills to a Regis Prograis, it was impressive. I expected him to beat him. I mean, we didn't really.
You know,
but his skills were on a different level. Period. Against Regis Prograis.
I mean, so was Keyshawn Davis and what he did. Go ahead, Nolair, though. I'm interested in what you had. Wait, hold on. Before you say anything, Nolair, Big Money 100, I want to pull this off the screen, says, how can anybody say PDs don't matter? I'm not saying PDs don't matter. I'm saying what I'm saying is he didn't do nothing in that fight against Ryan for me to make him believe he's going to beat up Keyshawn. That's all I'm saying, right? I'm saying however you want to look at it, that fight wasn't a fight I would reference and be like, in the past couple of fights that he had to be like, man, you see what he did with Ryan? Keyshawn better beware. That's what I mean. I don't mean that it don't matter as far as Ryan won the fight or I'm dismissing PEDs in the sport. But go ahead, no layers.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like the experience thing's a little overrated, like because bro, Devin Haney hasn't fought anyone like Keyshawn, so it don't really matter.
What?
That experience with these elite guys.
I agree with him, man.
They didn't have the same skills as Keyshawn.
I agree with what he's saying.
He's never fought Devin Haney either. So I'm not using past fights where he fought people that don't fight like Keyshawn to say he has experience that can help him beat Keyshawn. It don't make sense.
The resume is one-sided, bro. He hasn't fought what? I mean, you can't even compare. Keyshawn Davis hasn't fought absolutely no one.
Yeah, but I think what he's saying, I have to co-sign it. I have to co-sign what he's saying because what I'm hearing him say is going into this fight, fine, bring up the resume and make that part of your decision if you want to. But I think what he's saying is Devin has not been in the ring with a Keyshawn Davis, and I have not seen him in the ring with a Keyshawn Davis. I have not seen him in the ring with a fighter like Keyshawn Davis before. And just like he said, vice versa, Keyshawn has definitely not been in the ring with a Devin Haney. Styles make fights, and I think that's what Gary Antoine Russell was talking about, that this is not a fighter that Devin Haney has somebody in his resume that you can reference and be like, remember what he did with this guy? He's going to do this with Keyshawn.
Clay, let me ask you, before Norman Jr. fought Devin Haney, he was champ. And if Keyshawn Davis had moved up to become his mandatory, who would you have chosen? Norman Jr. right before going into the
my guy. Hold on, I got you.
Or would you have chosen Keyshawn?
I definitely. There you go, KO. My guy KO about to come up here and talk to him. I don't know which way he's gonna go with this one, man. I know KO gonna be strong, passionate, and he's on one side. He don't ride fences, so we'll see what he says. But go ahead, HL.
I'm just saying, who would you have chosen? Right before the Norman Jr. and Devin Haney fight, Norman Jr. as the champion, and let's say Keyshawn was moving up, just like he's doing right now, to fight the 147 champion. So Norman Jr.
Hear my answer.
Go ahead. I want to know, who would you have chosen? Norman Jr.
I think Keyshawn beats Norman Jr. Yes, I think Keyshawn's better. I think Keyshawn's one of the best boxers in the game today. I'm telling you, I believe that. So I'll just get that out the way before you even. I think he's a special fighter. Hold on one second.
Underrating his skills, man.
Yeah, I just think skill-wise, he's one of those guys, but he still has to prove himself. But just on the eye test, I like what I see in Keyshawn Davis. Hold on one second. I'm gonna bring somebody up here. KO, what's good, brother?
Can you hear me?
I hear you, sir. Yes, sir. How you doing?
Yeah, what's up, man? What's up?
Doing good, man. Long time no hear, man. What's on your mind?
Nothing, man. I like the conversation about Devin Haney and Keyshawn, so it prompted me to hop up and chop it up with y'all, man. I'm waiting to see if this fight actually happened.
Facts.
I'm gonna keep 100 with you. Here's the thing, right? For all of this talk about 75-25, I don't think that's the most important number. I think the most important number is how many promoters do you think gonna bid on this fight?
That's what I was saying here.
And how much is anybody gonna be willing to bid on this fight? Because if there's no competition for Top Rank, what motivation does Top Rank have to bid a number that somebody like Devin Haney is gonna be happy with? People keep talking Keyshawn. Well, if you follow boxing, and I'm assuming everybody up here is super diehard boxing fans, we know that the WBO really acts at the behest of Bob Arum. That's why they have the nickname whatever Bob orders. So this idea that they were surprised by 75-25 is crazy to me, because Keyshawn Davis's team knows what the purse split is going to be if they go get the fight order. Now, with that being said, getting the fight order and now it going to purse bid, I think it was strategic on Top Rank's part to not negotiate these 20 days. They didn't want to negotiate. You know, Devin Haney won a shit ton of money. You know, he won a lot of money. We're not going to negotiate. We want to pay what we think the fight is worth. Mm-hmm. And unless there's some curveball where Devin Haney is pulling the team of Lifu and he's going to go sign with the zone directly, I don't think there's any shot he gets a fair shake in the purse bid. So the 75-25 is not what's important. What's important is if Top Rank says, oh, we're the only ones bidding on the zone, thank you, we're going to bid $2 million on the fight. 75% of that is like 1.2 million or something. Maybe my math is a little out. You think he's willing to fight for 1.2 million dollars?
Hold on, before everybody taps in, I wanna say something. I think what KO saying is very accurate. Yeah. I think the wild card in this conversation is the zone going to get involved with this or not? If they don't get involved with this, my question I would ask, you know what I'm saying, to KO is what do you know about what the consequences is on the back end of Devin Haney not accepting whatever Top Rank offers? Is he they're
gonna strip him? They're gonna strip him. Like it's at purse bid now. The purse bid is July 27th. You stripped. Whoever, if Keyshawn pulls out, you lose your number one mandatory status. They move you down the rankings. Who's next up? If Devin pulls out, you running that belt. Now, do you think Top Rank? Because Keyshawn Davis is talented, but me myself, I'd favor Devin Haney in that fight because of experience. I think he can stick to a game plan better. I don't like how Keyshawn looked against Nahir Albright, right? So I'd favor Devin. I think he can frustrate Keyshawn, keep him at the end of his jab, and then when Keyshawn get too close, that motherfucker is very strong in the clinch. He will clinch you to death, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, if you're Top Rank, what is best for your business? You just signed this big deal with DAZN, it's multi-years. Do you want Devin Haney versus Keyshawn, where Devin is a free agent and can beat him and then run off and go do something else? Or do you want to try to force a play in a chess move, lowball the purse bid, get Devin Haney to drop his belt, and then you set up Keyshawn versus Brian Norman Jr. for the vacant? What's better for your business if you're Top Rank?
Exactly. See,
because you have no control over Devin Haney. If he whoops your top prospect butt and he goes on with his free agency, then what are we doing with Keyshawn if we DAZN? We mad, right? We ticked off. But if you put Keyshawn in there with Brian Norman Jr., you don't care who lose because you got control over both of them.
No, I like it. I like it. I think that's something I never really put my mind to say that, okay, on the back end of a low ball, will Devin Haney vacate that WBO title, or will he defend it regardless? Like he said on Champ Side earlier today, he said legacy over money. I don't know.
The case study is there.
Well, Clay, the thing is, that's what I said.
I don't mean to hog it, but the case study is there. Did he keep his belt and fight Sandor Martin? Was it legacy or was it money?
That's what I was saying. He dropped the belt when DAZN didn't even bid on that one.
After he beat Regis Prograis, didn't he say I already been undisputed, now I care about making the biggest and best fights? Or was that somebody else that said that?
Yeah. I mean, you talking that shit as usual, bro. You talking some shit.
So I think before we start breaking down the fight and who's gonna win and who is that, do we think that anybody's gonna come to the table and give Top Rank any competition? Do we think that DAZN is gonna decide all of a sudden that they rocking with Devin Haney after they told out of Eddie Hearn's own mouth, they told Matchroom, don't you bid on that Sandor Martin Devin Haney fight?
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden they rocking with him? After two undercards in Saudi Arabia, they rocking with him now?
Well,
one in Saudi Arabia, one in the middle of the street. But y'all know what I'm saying.
We can acknowledge this as well, though, that the environment has changed a little bit now with Zuffa Boxing doing what they're doing, that all of a sudden the DAZN is offering these exclusive deals to the Teofimos. They've offered something to Shakur before. They offered something to Richardson Hitchens, of all people, right? They offered him something. So maybe the DAZN's whole entire perspective on the game as far as the playing field is concerned, maybe they look at it as more as leveling it, right? They're saying that, well, if we have Devin Haney over here, we can leverage a Devin Haney in a way to where we can be part of this big conversation as far as a big fight being made. Maybe they don't want to continue to lose fighters
I
from
agree
their
with you.
point of view, right?
I agree. I think that's why I caveat everything I'm saying. If I'm, and I don't like Devin Haney or Bill Haney, but if I am them, I am definitely trying to see what's up with DAZN. I need some leverage back. I don't feel comfortable going into a purse bid where I'm by myself and I know Zuffa can't bid on it because they're not a licensed WBO promoter and every promoter is under DAZN. DAZN is not going to put its own promoters against each other. They're not going to give Top Rank some money for a purse bid, then give Matchroom some money for a purse bid, then give PBC. Like, they're going to give it to one, and it's going to probably be the guy, the promoter who has the fighter that's on the other side. Like, this is like, they're not going to mess the budget up like that and have everybody looking stupid. So if I'm Devin Haney, bro, I would advise you need to sit down with DAZN and see if you can, because if they'll give Team Alifu a deal, why won't they give Devin a deal? If Teofimo can get a direct deal, why can't Devin? That would be the only thing I think can get him a fair shot in the purse bid and perhaps a fair shot in the fight if the fight is a close fight. But if he goes in this shit and he's on this independent tip, they're gonna do him like they did him with Sandor Martin, man. There's no evidence to suggest anything else other than that, bro.
That's exactly what's gonna happen. That's why I mentioned that the Sandor Martin WBC they didn't bid on it. And so it was just Top Rank, and it was just that math they just did. I think it was like he was gonna get like 1.5 out of the 2 million that, or almost 2 million that I think Top Rank was the one who bid it for the Sandor Martin fight. So that's why he vacated. I think something similar may happen, but there's a reason why the WBO is putting this on live so that people could see it, maybe to try to stir a buzz and maybe get somebody to want to bid on it against Top Rank. That's the only thing I can see happening at this point.
Yeah.
I don't think I would just push back on that a little and say with Top Rank's position with the WBO and all the things they've done together, I don't think WBO is out here fishing for competition for Top Rank. I don't think they want to mess that relationship up like that. I think everything the WBO is doing is at the behest of Top Rank and Keyshawn Davis's handlers, bro.
Well, I mean, if they ordered up, they wanted to become mandatory. That's it is what it is. Regardless of what the WBO said.
It's going to be interesting watching it play out this week for sure, man, because I think without a doubt it's chess and checkers. I like your point, KO, as far as Top Rank's position, as far as strategically not bidding on this fight, allowing this purse bid to reach July 27th before they put their 2 cents into it, because they understand who the Top Rank, maybe more than anybody else outside of potentially an Eddie Hearn, knows how to work with Devin Haney. They understand how he thinks, how he prices himself. And they also understand the position that they have Devin Haney in right now with that mandatory with Keyshawn Davis. They understand where they have him. And I think they will leverage that like they should. They're going to leverage that. And I don't know if that's a good thing.
What number you think the bid is going to be?
If you're them and you were worried about somebody else bidding on the fight, then you would have went ahead and used the 20 days to try to negotiate exclusively and make the fight. Clearly, I mean, you see all these cross-promotional fights they're making. Clearly, they're talking to PBC. Clearly, they're talking to Matchroom. Clearly, they're talking to Golden Boy. We just supposed to be naive enough to believe that they not having this conversation too. Say, bro, y'all planning on bidding on the fight? What y'all got going on? You really think they ain't talking about that, bro? Like come on, man.
I know for a fact Top Rank is because that's what they did.
They got all the promoters in the same thing. Like, look, bro, we gonna put the money up for them to bid. We gave you your budget over here. This is the fights we want from you. This over here is the fights we want from you. We're gonna throw this one to Top Rank. We're gonna throw this one to PBC. Top Rank, we need you to sacrifice Xander. We just signed Team Alifu, so PBC, we need y'all to give Team Alifu a shot at Rolly, even though Team Alifu just got his ass whipped. Like, you don't think this shit is happening, bro? Like,
no, especially right now.
And you're right about them talking behind the scenes.
Because the zone is even more involved right now in these conversations now than they've ever been. I mean, you saw how they got hands-on with the Virgil and Jerome Boots Ennis. They shut down that shit with Oscar trying to do that Errol Spence Dallas Cowboys Stadium shit. They, I have word from people on the inside that they were very involved in that Xander Zayas, Jerome Boots Ennis fight coming together. And that, they've been very hands-on with the matchmaking and what they're willing to support versus what they're not willing to support and what that looks like financially for these promoters. Like they're very clearly trying to compete with Zuffa, and they're not trying to put on weak fights if they can avoid it. So if the zone was involved in this conversation, they'd have been involved in this conversation potentially already. If they haven't already been, though, because we don't know that the zone isn't involved in the conversation exclusively with Bill right now saying, do you want to wait for the 26 for Top Rank, or are you guys really ready to give us a multi-year deal that we can give you a nice amount of money for all your fights? Then we can get in front of this thing and you don't have to let Bob Arum do what Bob Arum's waiting to do to you.
Well,
that would be the best. That would be the best thing for us as fight fans, because that's where all the fights are at right now. That's where all the fights that we want. The Ryan Garcia rematch. That's where it's at. Right?
But if you remember what they did, especially Bob Arum, remember what they did with the first bid with Kambosos? Bob Arum called Eddie Hearn, called everybody else, and told them not to bid on the fight. And Eddie Hearn was like, "How the hell are you going to tell me not to bid on the fight?" So you know that they do talk behind the scenes, and they do going to try to position themselves to work that they can get the better deal for themselves.
Yeah,
and so I expect the same thing to happen here.
You're right, and during that time, Top Rank was on ESPN though. Now they're aligned. Now they're
aligned exactly. So it's even worse.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, bro. Yeah.
What's the fight worth? You think? I mean, normal space, I'm gonna say maybe 3.5 million for a purse bid.
For this fight. Nothing over 2 million.
But I think the fight is worth is people love to say you get what you negotiate. The fight is worth whatever I say it's worth if I ain't got no competition.
Right, in that sense. But I'm just saying overall, what would it be though?
But
it's going to be a sold-out stadium. This fight's going to sell out of a stadium.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's what you negotiate, right? Like, what is it worth? I don't know. I'm not paying for it. What's it worth to me? I don't know. It's worth.
I tell you what, it's worth my DAZN Ultimate membership.
Right.
I'm happy. I got that shit.
They're gonna charge us extra for that pay-per-view.
That's exactly what I was about to say. It's worth my membership.
They're gonna charge us more, man.
Worth that.
Like, they're gonna make us pay that extra whatever $69 for this fight or whatever they're gonna charge us for on top of the $450 a year, man. That's what they.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, yeah, that has nothing to do. The worth of it is what.
But I'm just saying, what you think the number is going to be? Is it going to be what we're going to end up?
It depends on who's there. Like Like KO said, if it's just Top Rank, this fight will not be over $2 million. It won't
I think it'll at least they'll bid more than the Sandor Martin fight.
You
so
think?
if you ask me to guess, you have to make it look good. You know what I mean? To make it look a certain way, they might do that. But if they really want to get that belt from them and they know they got no competition, you fuck around and get like you said, like a 1 million, 1.5 million. Like it'll be something ridiculous.
And that works to their favor because then the Haney's ain't gonna fight for $1 million.
I just want people to stop acting like Keyshawn is gonna be the one to pull out, bro. If anybody pulls out, I'm predicting it'll be Devin Haney because he's the you know what I'm saying? It's his market value. He's the one I'm the face of boxing. I'm this, I'm that. Like he's like Keyshawn just want a shot. Right. And Top Rank is telling him, you just hold tight. Let us work. You just hold tight. Like Jay Prince is telling him, let us work. You hold tight. Don't you even worry about a thing. Because the thing is, regardless of whatever the purse bid is, I'm sure Keyshawn Davis has a minimum in his contract. So even if a purse bid or whatever, Keyshawn would still get his minimum. That's what people don't understand, bro. So they can still like the battle agreement can say something else, but he can have a whole nother payment because he has a certain minimum.
Yeah, but the minimum goes out the window on the first bid, KO.
So I'm telling you, that 75-25, bro, that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is come July 27th when we see who win that purse bid and how much.
I agree. I don't think people trying to put the pressure on the 75-25 as far as Keyshawn betting. I've said it already. If Keyshawn, if you allow this fight to slip from you because of 25% of whatever the purse is, you're not being serious, bro.
It's gonna be my what's my TS promotional company, man, that they overbid for even my TS fight. That's who's gonna probably show up, bro. With Top Rank. They paid like $2 million for that Matias fight, man. The one that went bankrupt over there in Berkeley.
We'll see. Hold on a second. HL. I am 444. What's good with you, brother? How you doing?
Peace, Clay. Peace, panel. Let's go on KO. What's up, HLD?
What's good, brother?
Yeah, I'm just listening on the convo real quick. I'm gonna listen a little bit more. I want to add something. Everybody's done or on it, or we good?
No, everybody's good, man. I mean, at the end of the day, it's an important week for this Devin Haney glove triangle. So it is what it is.
For sure. I don't know. I'm kind of 50-50 on it. I don't. I think Devin is going to let the title go.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think he's going to let it go because of money. I think he's going to let it go because it's just too much of a risk. I don't believe Devin Haney beats Keyshawn Davis. I don't believe that at all. I think different fighters present different things. I know people want to look at the Niall Albright fight, but why do people reference that fight rather than the Jermaine Ortiz fight? You see what I'm saying? You have to be consistent. So what do we see? The data shows us that Keyshawn Davis has the ability to fight a certain way when he's fighting a certain type of fighter and fight another way when he's fighting a certain type of fighter. Niall Albright is a very awkward fighter, obviously, very strong, very determined. So I don't really I look at that fight and give it any merit. But the Jermaine Ortiz fight, I gave it merit. Why? Because the Jermaine Ortiz fight up to that point was probably one of his most anticipated or most difficult fights going into it based on what Jermaine Ortiz had done, i.e. with Lomachenko, arguably was a very close, tight fight. And obviously, arguably, he beat Teofimo Lopez. So everybody was really looking at how he was going to handle that fight. Based on that fight, I think that struck a little bit of concern in the Haneys. And that is why they retracted trying to initially to fight him aggressively when he was told that they would fight, blah, 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 which we all know the story, but that quickly changed. So I think he will let go of the titles because the risk is just too much there. And it has all of the ingredients to destroy the momentum that Devin Haney has created now, because prior to the Brian Norman Jr. fight, he was crap. That's just the reality. Nobody believed in him. Guess what? People believe in him now because of Brian Norman Jr. and because of really beautiful matchmaking and also really just beautiful people kind of looking over the facts and the details of what Brian Norman was. And it's just the name of the game. So he defeated Brian Norman Jr. He gets the attention back. He made people a believer. But that don't mean that happens with everybody. Keyshawn Davis is a total different fighter than Brian Norman Jr. Sorry. A little bit way more tested, been in way more, in my opinion, more difficult fights. and has the Olympic experience, which I think is people try to overlook that. But as it relates to Keyshawn, I think it is very, very instrumental in how he fights and what he does.
I don't see that. I don't see the more experience. I don't see none. The better. I don't see none of that at all.
I think Keyshawn. I think how about this talking point right here? Right, Keyshawn's been forced to evolve more in his past fights than Devin has been forced to evolve. How about that? Devin's been able to fight his fight and show that not many people can deal with him. So what motivation has he had to really evolve? Probably his biggest motivation was the Ryan Garcia fight, which was, picking up that right hand, right? Outside of that, I'm saying Keyshawn's been forced to wrestle a Miguel Madueno, who was up in there trying to put him through it. He was forced to be slicker than a Jose Pedraza. He was forced to be patient against a Olympian Dennis Baranchek. He was forced to deal with the crowd and the weight of a Gustavo Lemos who blew the weight and he cut the weight and he had to deal with all that. He conquered that. He was forced to come back off of a long hiatus after being suspended for not making weight. Well, not being suspended. Sorry, let me not say that. But just for choosing to be out the sport after not making weight to fight De Los Santos. And he had a big opponent in front of him as far as I'm concerned in Jermaine Ortiz. And he showed more patience. He came in with a new team as well and switched his team and came in with his home team, put Bomac and them to the side. And he showed that he could overcome that. And even in the Nahir Albright fight, which was a rematch based off of a no contest that was done because he smoked some bud, he was able to show up, show some maturity there and beat Nahir Albright more convincingly than he did the first time after Nahir Albright came off of a great fight with Frank Martin. So here's a fighter who's been forced to evolve emotionally. He's been forced to evolve with his skills. He's been forced to evolve by moving through these weight classes. That adversity right there, pressure makes diamonds or bust pipes. Devin Haney, I don't know in his past couple of fights, what has he been forced to do? You know what I mean?
Let me add and HLD, let me give you a little bit of education here of why I say what I say, right? If you
information, not education.
Yeah, it's going to be education because the information is fact. Let me explain why. If you look at Keyshawn Davis box rec, all of his fighters, they have a winning record. Essentially, every single one of them. Okay? If you look at Devin Haney, we can easily say Devin Haney's first few 15 fights, they were down in Mexico. It is what it is. It's kind of very strange. Me personally, I don't really consider the whole Mexico kind of.
No, we don't. Nobody does.
Okay.
But I'll take Devin Haney's last 10 fights over Keyshawn Davis.
Yeah. So I got you. So now my next question to you is this. He fought Lomachenko. Devin Haney fought Lomachenko at what weight again?
135.
135.
And can we all agree that Lomachenko was a very small 135 pounder, pretty much?
My man, if we're gonna go to that, that means I gotta say that Pedraza hasn't fought at 135 in 5 years. He was drained. Madueno just fought Claggett, who was drained down to 135.
I'm agreeing. I'm agreeing.
I mean, Baranchek was an old Lomachenko.
So here's the thing, HOD. I can agree with you because I believe two things can exist at the same time. So what I'm saying is that you are correct. But I'm also asking you. Would you say that Lomachenko was a very small 135 pounder? Would you agree? Would you say that Devin Haney was definitely the bigger guy in the ring?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So all I'm saying is that when you look at his record, Keyshawn Davis, he's fighting. The people he's fighting. 25-3, 18-1, 35-6, 26-2, 28-3. No. What I'm saying that I'm agreeing with you, HLD, but we're trying to make this thing as if Devin Haney is miles apart. And I'm saying you will be surprised, even though Devin Haney has 30-something fights, you could take a good handful of those and be like, you know what, the Mexico run, I'm not going to give that too much. Go ahead. I'm just being clear, right? And then you could say, okay, well, then out of these last 20 or 15 fights, I'm definitely going to give that Lomachenko. I'm definitely going to give the Ryan Garcia. I'm definitely going to give the
You know, I mean, who else would you say?
It'll be Linares, Jojo Diaz. It'll be Regis Prograis, all former Olympians. It'll be Jose Ramirez, still a former champion. Tell me how many former champions and Olympians has the Keyshawn Davis been fighting? Men with the experience and the know-hows in the ring. And I'm not even saying that those are great competition, but in comparison to what Keyshawn has fought, they're a wash.
And that's my point. And this is what I'm telling you. I believe a Keyshawn Davis would have destroyed a Jojo Diaz. I believe a Keyshawn Davis would destroy more than half of those fighters that you're mentioning. The point I'm trying to make is this, though. At some point, we have to get out of the whole former champion, because all champions aren't created equal. We got to get past all of that type of stuff, and we have to look at what we're seeing for what it is. The reality is this. If you look at Keyshawn Davis and you think Keyshawn Davis is not a great fighter, I mean, if you think Brian Norman Jr. is better than a Keyshawn Davis, then I have to question what you're looking at, because then I'm going to ask you, what did Brian Norman do that proved that he was the best at 147? And the answer is nothing. You see, and this is the reason why boxing sucks, because the reality is that Brian Norman Jr. should have fought whoever was at 147 who had a title, so that he can actually claim I am the best. And Norman us as Jr. a fan,
Norman Jr. has fought better prime fighters than anything that's on Keyshawn Davis's record. What are we talking about?
All right, so let me get in this, right?
Go ahead.
I think that, well, just like Triple Four said, as far as multiple things coexisting in the same space, I can resonate with both of your guys' arguments. In other words, from HLD's point of view, I 100% resonate with the idea that Devin Haney has got the better resume than Keyshawn Davis. I don't think that's anything to argue about. I think if Triple Four, you feel that way, that's okay, but I don't agree with that. I think Devin Haney's resume blocks out the sun over Keyshawn Davis's resume, clearly. You know what I'm saying? Now, I can resonate with Triple Four's point of view as far as saying that not everything is equal. Styles make fights. And I bring my own little extra in it to say that when it's all said and done, man, two fighters are going to get in the ring in the ring whenever that fight happens. And that night, the resumes will not fight for them. And the question has to be, does Keyshawn Davis have that X factor, that wild card factor that he brings to the table that can even up a lot of these arguments, and at the end of the day, most importantly, get him a victory over Devin Haney? I think he does. I think he has enough of he has enough intangibles that people may have not seen yet, right? Most people who are picking Keyshawn Davis to win this fight will tell you it's an eye test conversation. This is what I've seen from this guy, man. And I don't know that I've seen Devin Haney in the ring with a guy like this. And not to mention, another intangible that's not going to get any light is going to be that he's in there sparring with, quite frankly, arguably one of the best pound for pound fighters in the world, Shakur Stevenson, who, not by chance, you might say, is a fighter who is as close to a Devin Haney as you can get outside of Devin Haney. He spars this guy regularly. So he's going to know how to cut the ring off. He's going to respect the IQ and the pedigree of Devin Haney. He's going to respect everything about Devin because he has somebody who knows Devin hands-on more than anybody. Now, you combine all of that with how explosive he is, how athletic he is, if his power translates from 135, 140 up to 147, and he's able to bring that up there, then you got that factor in there as well. And you put that all together and you have a cocktail for an upset. You know what I'm saying? You have a cocktail for an upset because with Devin Haney, what we haven't seen him do is really do what we wanted to see him do with Regis Prograis. We wanted to see him stop Regis Prograis. He hasn't shown that killer instinct. He's shown to be a fighter who, even in the vision of a guaranteed victory where he can stop Regis Prograis, he chooses not to, right? He says to himself, Regis is still dangerous, bro, and I don't want to get hit with nothing crazy. And he cruises. He knocks Brian Norman Jr. down at 147, and we're like, oh, Devin has arrived. He's shown us the power. He's big and he's strong, but he fades away. He chooses to coast through that fight, and he doesn't go for the kill with Brian Norman Jr. With Keyshawn Davis, he's not going to, I don't believe he's going to allow Devin Haney to coast. Devin Haney will have to fight this dude until he either stops him or until the 12th round bell goes off and the fight ends. And that's something that a Keyshawn Davis fan can be very optimistic about on Keyshawn Davis, to say, as long as he has an opportunity, as long as he's not hurt and he's not on shaky legs, Devin Haney is in real potential danger with the fighter with the mentality of Keyshawn Davis. I think that plays out in different ways.
I didn't even see that with the Ortiz fight, man. We were booing Keyshawn Davis already in the 7th round. We were like, guys, yeah, he stopped, but we were boring him. So the exciting factor, like, oh, he's gonna keep on. We were like, dude, do something, bro, because this is like, what are we doing here?
Well, I gotta be honest with you, right? I called that fight, and the whole time I was calling that fight, I saw the stoppage coming. I saw it.
They mercy stopped it at the end.
I understand, but I'm just letting you know. To me, Keyshawn Davis was menacing throughout that whole fight. When I say menacing, I mean he was dangerous. He was right on the brink of landing the right shot. He was cutting the ring off. He was working towards a stop.
But why couldn't he do that earlier? Because he was dealing with so then Devin Haney compared to Jermaine Ortiz.
Hey, so I hear you. I'm not going to argue. But the resumes won't be
okay.
Who's fighting in that ring that night.
I can answer that. Number one.
Hold on. Let me get this.
Sorry, Clay.
Big Herm Show, shout out to you, says, why would the Zone want to lose this big fight? 100%. I think he's speaking towards a conversation we're having while KO was up here as far as what position the Zone's going to take in this Devin Haney, Keyshawn Davis negotiation. And Lil Zuda in the building, shout out with the $2, says 444 is getting cooked, man. Clay, save him. Lord child. But maybe, yeah, look, 444 got it. He about to bring it back right now. Go ahead, 444.
Well, no, if I get cooked, I get cooked. But the thing is this, I like to see fighters that are in fights where there's no controversy. One of the things that I like about Bud Crawford is that he always says he's never been in a fight to where, you know, there was heavy controversy if he won it or not, right? So when we're looking at these fighters that are champions and we're like, oh, former champions, we look at a Regis Prograis, right? I mean, I think that we can all agree that he really lost that fight against Zorilla. Okay? I mean, would you agree, HLD? Did you think he was? I see, and so this is the problem I have with boxing, HLD. So it's like this: as a fan, we're watching a fight. We clearly see the fighter lose, but the politics of boxing doesn't confirm that, right? It doesn't support that. It puts the person. So Regis Prograis got the WBC belt from that fight. Okay, boom. So he now he's a champion. WC title, right? Now, in my mind,
wasn't it?
I think he fought the Zorilla for the WC lightweight junior, welterweight championship. So my thing is this though. So for me, I'm sitting back and I'm saying, okay, even though he won that fight, was he truly a champion? Did he truly win that fight? So everything that comes afterwards for me, I just kind of really
was Baranchek a real champion, bro? The Timu version of Lomachenko. Is Baranchek a real champion?
I'm gonna be honest with you. That particular fight, that was definitely that was Navarrete's own doing, because I was actually surprised at Navarrete's inability.
But Triple Four, was Baranchek a real champion then?
Yeah, because that fight wouldn't have no controversy.
Bro, that guy was as bad as Prograis was. What are we talking about?
You know what I mean, HOD. He beat Navarrete clean and fair. Even though I thought Navarrete should have stopped.
Yeah, he came up to 135. Navarrete had no business at 135.
I'm agreeing, but I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying that wasn't a fight that was there because of controversy. You know what I mean?
Like, we can't argue this. We can't argue who's the better fighter here based on we'll be here forever. It's just no way around.
Understood.
Listen, guys. We will definitely be here forever, and I got Fight Sports Talk on this Discord.
Go ahead, I'm quiet.
Yeah, Fight Sports. If you want to pop up, just hit the unmute button, and we can hear you. By the way, if you want to pop up on the Discord.
Sure. I was just wondering, because I'm on Discord, can you guys hear me okay as if I'm on StreamYard?
Yeah, I'm good. Would you rather come up on the StreamYard?
Whichever works. This is fine.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to jump in while those guys were chatting.
No doubt. We're about to move on from this topic in a minute anyway, but I definitely wanted to give you a chance to put your 2 cents in, because I definitely want to talk about this Virgil Ortiz return situation and everything on that nature as well. But go ahead though.
Yeah, well, with the deadline expiring, it seems like Keyshawn, being the mandatory, wants more money. He thinks that if it goes to purse bids, he can get more money than what has been offered. I only just tuned in, so is that what you think, or do you think there's something more going on?
Well,
do you think Devin might be? Yeah.
Well, really, what these guys were talking about was really the fight itself, right? Talking about this actual fight between Keyshawn and Devin per se. But earlier we were talking about the actual business, right? The bidding process and where Keyshawn stands as far as the 75-25. And KO came up here and gave some good perspective as to how we should look at the 27th when it gets here, as far as what we should see happening. Will Top Rank, make something interesting or lucrative enough for Devin Haney and Bill Haney to jump on, or will the bid be too low, or not up to their criteria, and will they be interested and willing to vacate that WBO title in the spirit of making a bigger fight for bigger money across the street with Zuffa Boxing with Shakur?
Well, excuse me, I'll just quickly give my thoughts on that. Thing is, I don't think a bigger fight is possible right now for Devin, because they've tried the Shakur thing, that hasn't worked.
Mm-hmm.
So where do they go? Does he jump up to 154 right now and go after Boots? That's just not going to happen. If he goes to 154 and you're talking about, again, a bigger fight than this, America's potential next golden boy, then it's got to be Boots, and that's just really unlikely, because Boots is going to be fighting another champion, hopefully, or Ortiz. So there is no bigger fight, and the only other options are champions like Liam Parrow, who aren't really known at the moment. So again, there is no bigger fight, which is why I think this is an absolute must, especially since Devin hasn't fought at all this year.
Right. I think that well, hold on one second here. Carlos Bernardo, yeah, we believe it or not, tomorrow's live is gonna be more so focused on that Zuffa Boxing card a lot more, and whatever news is going on. So that's why I haven't talked about the Berlanga situation. But the Berlanga's by the way, just not the sidebar, Berlanga's in a real ass fight. I promise y'all. And we'll talk about that.
I'll top in tomorrow, Clay, man. I do appreciate you having me on, man. As always, man. Great. Hit the like, hit the sub. On Claymore Ring. Peace out, man.
Peace out, brother. Peace out. Appreciate you, brother. Right. So, at the end of the day, as far as options are concerned, fight sports with Devin Haney, he has a lot of options. And I think things have changed a lot for Devin Haney in the past couple of weeks, because he has become a vital part to, big fights happening right now in the space, as far as the conversation with him and Keyshawn, him and Shakur, and even potentially, butting his business in there at 154, making a big fight happen with Jerome Buchanan. But at the end of the day, though, this is about managing risk versus reward, right? For Devin Haney and Bill Haney. This is how they have to look at this. They don't have to, but I think this is probably how they're choosing to look at this, is managing that properly. That everybody isn't equal in that conversation. Now, obviously, the reward is there with Shakur Stevenson, and I would say that the risk is well managed as well. Although Shakur may outbox Devin Haney, is he going to embarrass him, stop him, do all that? I think Devin Haney is confident enough at a bare minimum to know that he's going to be in a competitive boxing match with Shakur Stevenson, no matter how it turns out. With Keyshawn Davis, the reward and the risk is a different conversation, because if the reward isn't high enough, the risk is definitely through the roof, because Keyshawn Davis is just a dangerous fighter. He's a menacing, dangerous fighter. And obviously, I don't need to tell you about what that fight looks like for Devin Haney at 154 against Jerome Buchanan, as far as risk versus reward is concerned. So that being said, if they're really focused on managing that properly, then they are kind of limited with their options as far as money's concerned. In my opinion, there's a conversation potentially happening in the background with Bill Haney in the zone. That's what I believe. I don't know if it's true or not. I just believe that there's a conversation happening. And with the zone, if they are talking to Devin Haney, they're not talking about a one-off fight. Matter of fact, that's probably the biggest thing that Devin and Bill have to deal with right now, is that nobody is probably offering him a one-off fight anymore. That's probably done. Those days of going somewhere, fighting somebody for a big bag of money, and then walking away from them and just going somewhere else, I think that's about done for the DHP brand. I think people are up on that game, and I think the space has become way more competitive. The conversation now is about where are you going to nest at? Where are you going to have some faith and operate and give somebody a commitment of, let's say, 3 to 4 fights on a contract that gives that person an opportunity not only to put you in the biggest fights, but also capitalize off of you being in the biggest fights and rotate, rolling you into bigger fights and rolling you into championships and rolling you into all these moments that can help build their brand. Because that's what these promoters are all about. That one is going to have a lot to do with where the fights are at for Devin Haney. I think KO said something earlier, and I've said it before, a lot of fights over there at the Zone for Devin Haney. Is the Zone willing to give him a competitive offer to what Zuffa's offering Devin Haney for a multiple fight deal? We'll find that out on Monday, right? It is what it is.
Yeah, we'll find out. As soon as Keyshawn didn't accept whatever Devin offered him, I think it was pretty obvious this was going to purse bids. And again, just because of the way things are, the limited options right now, again, this garbage Rolly Romero TFMO fight, I just really hope this fight happens because it is the biggest one for Devin. And I understand it's not exactly his fault that he hasn't fought this year yet because, again, they tried Shakur. I know we disagree on that, but when you're one of the biggest names in boxing and you get paid what you do, you got to fight more than once a year. So let's just, for all those reasons, this fight really needs to happen because if it does and Devin wins, it's a great move in the right direction for him.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Big Herm Show in the building says Ray Ford sparred Shakur regularly too. Stock got him. Stock got him. I agree with you, Big Herm. Listen, man, just because you're training with Shakur Stevenson doesn't guarantee you a fight. I mean, you still have the responsibility still on your shoulders to deliver in the ring with a fighter who's, especially when you're talking about a high-level fighter. And when you're talking about O'Shaquie Foster, let's be clear here. O'Shaquie Foster is one fight away from being in the top 10 pound-for-pound conversation. He's going to be there. He beats Emmanuel Navarrete. That's a pound-for-pound king right there. Well, I mean, he's ranked number 10, number 9, whatever number he is, but I'm saying he's in there. So you gotta say on the back end of a victory against him, he gets right there in the top 10. So O'Shaquie Foster is not a regular fighter, and clearly neither is Devin Haney, right? But there's also about aptitude. We saw that Raymond Ford expose himself a lot on his emotions, his anger, you know what I'm saying? The things that we saw outside the ring look like they translate into who he was inside the ring. Not to mention a young trainer, right? He had one of the youngest trainers in the game right now. I don't remember what his name is, but I know he's Shakur Stevenson's cousin. That also plays its factor. So all these intangibles, this is all part of the conversation. And keep in mind, I want to remind you, Big Herm Show, that I am leaning towards Devin to win this fight. I'm telling you that, right? What I am letting you guys know is don't think that there's that much that separates Keyshawn Davis from Devin Haney. It's not as much as you think. It's just a couple of intangibles. A couple of things make the difference in that fight. And I think on the back end of that fight, whether Keyshawn wins or loses or Devin wins or loses, what you'll see is both these guys will get a lot of more respect, just like, I don't want to say like Xander and Boots because Xander really got dominated. But on the back end of this fight, I think even if Keyshawn loses, people will look at that fight and be like, yo, Keyshawn ain't nothing to play with. You'll favor Keyshawn over a lot more fighters than you did going into that fight. Because I think Keyshawn Davis is a fighter with a lot of ability, who has a high level of boxing acumen. And I think there's a big reason as to why you hear a Terrence Crawford or Shakur Stevenson or any of those pundits, pugilists that are around him, they will all give him the highest regards and tell the world, y'all don't know. That's a bad man. He is one of the best fighters in boxing. They're saying that for a reason. But it is what it is, right? We'll see what happens when the fight rolls out for sure, man. I am 444. You back in the building. What's good, brother?
Yeah. I was waiting for the next topic. That's all. I know you was going to go to I'm waiting for you, though.
Okay, so we roll right into the Virgil Ortiz conversation here. Virgil Ortiz returns back to the media space, and Virgil Ortiz gives an interview with Chris Mannix. Very interesting interview as he's asked questions about his relationship with Oscar De La Hoya, Golden Boy, the WBC, his next fights. He's also asked questions about He's also asked questions about how he feels about Jaron Ennis and his performance against Xander Zayas and things of that nature. And I thought it was an interesting 11 minutes that he spent with Chris Mannix. The big question I'll ask the panel right now, I'll ask my guy 444 in Fight Sports Talk, if you're still there in the background, is as far as Virgil Ortiz is concerned right now, and he's returning into the space, what are you expecting from Virgil Ortiz right now? I mean, just what are you expecting from him, man? This is a guy who's 28 years old, who's never been a champion. He's undefeated. He's had some decent fights at 154, but those titles, those signature fights seem to keep evading him. What are we going to see this time around on the return of Virgil Ortiz?
I'll let Fight Sports go first.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Fight Sports. Mm-hmm.
I think he, in terms of, you're asking how he's going to look when he comes back. I think in terms of ring rust, it's not going to be a problem. In terms of the big fights, I don't know. I mean, this Boots Ennis soap opera has thrown me for multiple loops because Ortiz was prepared to take the fight, or Ennis wanted a tune-up and he got thrown under the bus for that. Then he wants to fight Ortiz, and then the promoter ruins it. And I don't know. I think there's no reason Ortiz won't take Boot right now, unless he calls for a tune-up. But he just fought in November, so I don't see why he would need that. I just think it might be a problem with De La Hoya, and I think the same thing I thought back in 2022 when it was clear De La Hoya was never going to get Canelo back, and Jaime Munguia was having cherry pick after cherry pick after cherry pick, and De La Hoya didn't seem to care. It seemed like that he was just going to protect all of his golden boys. Also, Zerdo was it just lost to Bivol, but he then went back and fought. No, he actually missed weight, and it was for another bad fight. Anyway, my point is that De La Hoya, since losing Canelo, has been so hell-bent on protecting his guys because it's his only way to make money. And now with the zone, he's risked them a little bit, but he just lost Zerdo. And I wonder if that's what ultimately led him to make sure that Ortiz didn't take the fight, or maybe it's a money thing, who knows. Now that he's staying to Ortiz wants the fight. We know that. So I guess in terms of what you just said, Clay, the big fight's evading him. Well, the fight with Boots is bigger now than it ever was. I don't know if they're going to go after Fundora. I mean, I've heard for what it's worth that because PBC is falling apart, Fundora may be able to get out of the PBC kind of easily, similar to how Fulton did when he fought Inoue. But they could have easily forced that fight earlier by enforcing the mandatory. So I don't know what's going to happen there. Will De La Hoya pull his head out of his and work with Eddie Hearn to make the fight with Josh Kelly? Who knows? So I think they'll take the fights. I think it's just a matter of, because De La Hoya ruined this one, if he'll let him take it, we'll see. But I don't think it's a problem with Ortiz.
No doubt, no doubt. Real quick here, hold on 1 second. I'm 444. Akeem in the building. What's good, Akeem? Go ahead on the Discord. You can go unmute yourself, man. What's good with you, brother? Akeem, you there? We don't hear you. You there, Akeem? Bad connection. I don't hear you, brother. All right. 444, what's good with you, family?
Yeah, I agree with Fight Sports there. I think Virgil Ortiz absolutely wants to fight. He's always wanted to fight. This is the problem I'm having with titles. This is the reason why I feel like as fans, we have to kind of just step outside of the programming. The reality is this. I think most fighters want to fight each other. I think the politics of boxing is what position fighters. And because of that, I can't give fighters that have titles just complete full merit always, because I understand that Sometimes it's timing, positioning, and clout and leverage, and of why that fighter may have been in position to have the opportunity to be able to fight for a title. For instance, you heard Eddie Hearn. What did he say? Thank God to Zayas. Why did he thank God to Zayas? Why did he thank Zayas so bad? Because he understood that Zayas giving Boots the opportunity to get his hands on 2 titles was going to be a major leverage play, was going to propel Boots Ennis to another stratosphere that's going to allow him to do exactly what he's doing now. Because here's the reality. Virgil Ortiz is prepared and he's ready and he's available. Forget about the past. Let's not do tit for tat, because everybody has somewhat they can be at fault to why the fight didn't happen. Okay. So for me, I'm like this. It's back to the same game again. The side of the street, or go get a title. And it's at some point, it's like, okay, like when can we think beyond that? Like you just, people act like you could just go get a title. The boxing industry has to work with you. Like, it takes 2 to tango. So telling someone to go get a title, to me, is just a convenient way to avoid the inevitable. And the inevitable is that that Virgil Ortiz and you are potentially probably one of the most anticipated fights at that particular weight class. Bottom line, you should want that fight. You should want to go clean that up and get it out the way. Why now are we talking about all this other stuff? We know Josh Kelly is potentially tied up in a fight. We know that Fundora is tied up in a fight. Who else do we have? Who is available right now? So what I say is this: what Xander extended to you, why can't you extend that to Virgil Ortiz? And that's just the reality.
I think at the end of the day, yes, once again, multiple things can coexist, right? But I do think that as a priority for yourself, you need to make sure you look out for yourself in this world. Somebody who has Jaron Boots Ennis' background, as far as how difficult it's been for him to get the biggest opportunities, some would argue he earned clearly, by fighting his way to the top. 30 plus fights into his career right now, almost about to hit 40 fights into his career. Perfect record, high finish ratio, right? High KO ratio. And, he's really, you're right. Thank God Xander, passed that blessing, the courtesy to be like, you're one of the best guys and I really want to fight one of the best guys. So I'm going to fight you. But he didn't have to get that opportunity. At this point, though, acknowledging who Jaron Boots Ennis is, as far as him wanting to become unified, undisputed, lineals, all those things that he wants. At this point, being the only unified champion at 154, what does Jaron Boots Ennis make a priority for himself? Does he make it giving Virgil Ortiz a quote unquote opportunity, even based off of the history that they have with each other, specifically around Oscar De La Hoya, who made it damn near an impossible fight to make happen because he wanted, to talk A-side, B-side politics. He wanted to throw Errol Spence versus Virgil Ortiz inside of Dallas Cowboys stadiums as a potential obstacle to that fight happen, as a potential bigger fight. Him dealing with all of that, getting to this point, why wouldn't he capitalize off an opportunity to fight a Sebastian Fundora to unify, or fight Josh Kelly to unify and take 3 belts and put himself even closer to becoming undisputed? And compound that with Virgil Ortiz Jr. being an interim WBC title holder. Why not put the pressure on him to put the pressure on Mauricio Suleiman and say, listen, bro, go get me a belt. You want this fight? I want it to be a big fight for me. Go fight Sebastian Fundora. You've been an interim how long? And even Virgil Ortiz has spoken on it, right? I played the video earlier where Virgil Ortiz is like, I don't even understand how the WBC works. It doesn't make sense to me. He says, I'm an interim champion. Who wants to be an interim champion forever? Of course I want to become a full champion. But how do I operate in a space to where fighters can just come in from other divisions and just leapfrog over me? How can I beat a Madrimov or Serhii Bahachuk, pick up an interim title, and you just let Terrence Crawford come into the division and take my position as the mandatory for that WBC title, make the conversation all about Terrence Crawford and Sebastian Fundora? Or how do you let Errol Spence come out of nowhere on the back end of a loss and roll him into an opportunity to become a champion with a Sebastian Fundora when I'm sitting right here putting in the work myself? So it's the politics of the sport that play out the way that it plays out. But from Jerron Boots Ennis' side of the conversation, taking into consideration that the politics of the sport have not been very nice to him, yeah, it'd be nice to give Virgil Ortiz an opportunity, but at the same time, it'd be nice for Virgil Ortiz to go get something that I want and make it worth my while as well, as I'm on a mission to go ahead and unify and pick up other belts as well. Right? No? Maybe? I don't know.
I'll let Fight Sport respond.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Triple Four.
Well, no, real quick. I understand what you're saying there, Clay, and I somewhat agree. But for me, I also look at the reality of things, and the reality is this: Turkey Alex Sheik offered Jerron Boots, and it's the exact thing that you're talking about. But guess what, though? He didn't want to step into the fire, into the unknown. He didn't want to fight Bakram, so Bakram ended up fighting Josh Kelly. The reality is that he wanted tune-ups before he got into that major fight. And Zayas had to step out and say, hey, listen, I want you. I will fight you. I will put my titles. So the reality is this: where would Boots be if Xander Zayas didn't say, I choose you and I'm going to put my belts on the line? We'll be still having the same conversation. So I get it. I'm happy that he won the titles, but at some point, common sense, man. The reality is this: Turkey Alex Sheik offered him all of what you're talking about, and he rejected that. He put that on someone else because no one thought Josh Kelly was going to beat Bakram. But guess what? Josh Kelly did it.
Yeah.
And this is where we are today. Yes.
Triple Four, I would say one thing doesn't have to do with the other. In other words, yes, Xander. Now, if Xander would have been in the conversation and been saying, give me an opportunity for a rematch, yes, I think Boots deserves that. He has to give Xander, if there isn't a rematch clause, for example, and it's just Xander who's just petitioning Boots for a fight, yeah, give Xander an opportunity because he didn't have to give you an opportunity. Xander giving Boots an opportunity doesn't roll over into owing Virgil Ortiz an opportunity. And yes, there were opportunities for him to come up to 154 and fight Virgil, but listen, he didn't cry about it. He didn't say I missed out on my fight with Virgil. He made a choice and said, I'm going to stay at 147. I'm going to unify. I'm going to pick up a lineal title. You go and go ahead and do what you want to do, Virgil. Yes, Turkey Alex Sheik offered opportunities for Jerron Boots Ennis to get in that fight. But no matter what has happened, if Turkey was to come back and be like, you owe me one, I gave you an opportunity, pay back Turkey and give Virgil the fight. But Virgil hasn't done Jerron Boots Ennis any favors, you know what I'm saying, in this conversation. He hasn't done him any favors. So Jerron Boots Ennis and Virgil's exclusive relationship is based off of opportunity. It's based off of what I provide to you and what you provide for me. And right now, what you provided for me was an opportunity to pick up your interim title when I had 2 other interim titles so that I could be first in line with all the champions. Now I'm a unified champion. I don't need you to go get another opportunity. What are you willing to do to put yourself in the conversation so that both of us are getting our back scratched? Because outside of it making sense for both of us, I don't owe you anything in particular. Shout out to Leonard Sterling, 5627, who says, had Regis winning, Zarilla moving too much. No doubt, Leonard. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for the love, man. Thank you for showing love in here. But Fight Sports Talk, I think you wanted to say something, and we got somebody else in the building too as well. My guy Sam from Jersey's also in the building. Matter of fact, Fight Sports Talk, hold on for 1 second. Let Sam tap in because I know his connections go in and out. So if he's available, let him speak. Sam, you there?
Yeah. I'm here, Clay. I was just listening, man. I was just listening.
Okay.
I was just listening. That's it. I got the babies right now, but yeah, I was just listening. I wanted to listen to more in depth.
No doubt. Just hit the mute button. I hear you definitely got the babies in the background. So
yeah. Okay, yeah, I'm just listening. Yeah, all right.
No doubt. But yo, guys, let's move on from the Virgil Ortiz conversation for a bit here, and let's jump into the fights that happen.
Clay, could I just say?
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, Clay. Could I just what I was going to say just very quickly? I agree with everything you're saying. That when you offer a guy a fight and they don't take it, you don't really owe them another opportunity. And I would agree because the 154 division is so stacked, and Kelly has just as much claim to being at the top of this division as anyone because he beat the guy nobody wanted to fight. He doesn't have to fight Ortiz, so I'm definitely not going to put it on Boots if this fight doesn't happen. I would just say because yes, Boots is a champion, 2-time champion, and Ortiz isn't. But I would just say that because of the history, I don't think Ennis is going to be giving up anything if he chooses to take this fight instead of Kelly, because Kelly could fight Fundora. I mean, these guys could all fight each other, and you could make the case that Ortiz is the biggest fight because of the history, but also the history of the promoters. I know it's a silly thing to say. Just one quick example. When Usyk became undisputed champion, he chose to stay at the division and fight Tony Bellew in his hometown after a very busy year and a busy tournament, which was extremely tough because of the money. And now I'm not saying Ortiz is the same money guy, but I wouldn't say he's too far off. And he did it. Usyk didn't do it because it gave him the accolades of belts or anything. He did it for the money. So, I mean, maybe we'll see Ennis do the same thing. But again, I won't put it on him if he chooses a different fight.
Yeah, I mean, listen, man. There's Boots has definitely shown in the past that he'll put it all on pause for legacy. You know what I mean? Like Triple Four said earlier, he didn't take the big money payday to fight Virgil Ortiz. Why? He took less of a payday for legacy. He went after Stanionis. He rematched Karen. You know what I'm saying? So he can keep his title so that he can unify with Stanionis later. He doesn't make money the end all be all for himself. He chooses legacy over money. So, listen, Virgil, I think Virgil's a great fighter, and I think that, that's a great fight between him and Boots. I got Boots stopping him. I'm not going to lie to you, but that you don't got to listen to me or take my word for it. That doesn't mean you should feel like you can't do it. And my perspective isn't based off of the likeliness of you winning or not. It's based off of, I can respect where you're coming from, but I definitely can resonate on the other side of the conversation with a Jerron Boots Ennis, who clearly has things he wants to check off his bucket list. And why should he pause those things to give Virgil Ortiz an opportunity that gets Boots in particular nothing but a payday, and the fans in particular a great fight? But other than that, what is Virgil Ortiz? Virgil Ortiz gets everything on the back end in his fight. He gets an opportunity to become unified. He gets an opportunity to do a lot of things with his career, especially where his career is right now. I mean, we don't need to get into A-side, B-side politics. I'm just saying, bring something to the table. You have an interim title. Leverage that title where it counts, which is with Sebastian Fundora, and then let's see how it turns out as far as a unification fight is considered between Virgil Ortiz and Jerron Boots Ennis. You know what I mean? It just is what it is. I want to go ahead and segue and roll into the next topic here. I want to go over that card a little bit this weekend. On Saturday, we had a great card. I don't want to say we had a great card. I don't want to do that because that word gets used too loosely, but it was a good card, right? Definitely a good card. Hold on one second here. Leonard Sterling in the building said, Bakram was on the Boxing Voice last year, never been offered Boots. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't know of Bakram being offered Boots or Boots being offered to fight Bakram. I don't remember that happening either. But Leonard, I'll be honest with you, that whole entire dynamic of offering fights, not offering fights, it's always weird to me because I don't like calling fighters liars like that. And I think it's fair play to say that a lot of times offers that come over get stopped at the door before the fighters even know what's going on. Fighter could be in the back playing PlayStation in the back room, and a fight and an opportunity comes to the door, and the manager sees the writing on the wall, you know what I'm saying, and says, we're not interested in that. And I'm not saying that's what happened with the Bakram situation, but a lot of these times when, you have one side of the conversation where the fighter or the promoter is being like, oh, we reached out to them to make a fight, and they ghosted us. They didn't want no problems with us. You know what I mean? I heard that happen a little bit with the whole Gary Antoine Russell, Shakur Stevenson situation, where Gary Russell, not Gary Antoine Russell, Gary Russell says, we reached out and tried to make that fight with Shakur, and they ain't want no problems with us. But at the same time, you'll see Shakur come out and respond and be like, yo, they never hollered. I never heard about no offer. I think both of them are probably telling the truth. I think Gary Russell could legitimately have reached out over to the people who you're supposed to reach out to. And I think those people may have been like, not now, you know what I mean, later, especially if they're in the middle of waiting on seeing what's going to happen with Devin Haney and Keyshawn Davis. They might not be looking to sign any fights right now. They may be looking to stay still right now. Or if the conversation happened before Shakur Stevenson and Zuffa made an official announcement, right? They might not want to make fights then because of that. So there's all those things that are involved in the conversation. So I never take it that literal when a fighter like Bakram says no offer was made. Maybe maybe not, right? Maybe not. But I do want to speak on this Diego Pacheco card this weekend. In 3 fights, obviously, specifically, I want to talk about. One of them being Albert Chop Gonzalez, the other one being the Andy Cruz fight and the Diego Pacheco fight. Now, not necessarily about the fights as much as next for these guys, right? Albert Chop Gonzalez had a masterclass performance. And at the end of that, he was calling out some names, says he's ready to get a belt. He thinks he's supposed to be in those conversations. He's not showing that in the ranking system in any of these sanctioning bodies, but I think we would love to see Chop in some great fights. And then Andy Cruz, of course, putting on also a masterclass performance where he stopped somebody who may have only been stopped once, if never have been stopped. Yeah, this guy had never been stopped before. He's lost fights, but never been stopped. But he's going to 130 on the back end of that. And then you have the Diego Pacheco performance. So I'll talk to 444 about this. What'd you think about the card this weekend?
I thought the card was decent. I enjoyed the Chop performance. Very, very impressive. I like his patience. I like his accuracy. Good fight. The Pacheco fight, I love the improvements. Obviously, that's one fight with Buddy McGirt. I can see him growing and getting a lot better and comfortable in the new style of fighting. But I thought Pacheco did pretty well in that fight. I thought the card overall was a decent card. I mean, even with Andy Cruz, impressive as well. It was good, you know. I see some of the things that he's improving on and he's incorporating, sitting down on his punches and, not getting the knockout. That was cool, So, yeah,
right.
That's pretty much my take. Card was good. It was decent.
Now, as far as afterwards, and shout out to 116 plus people in the building. Hit the like button if you guys haven't done so yet. Support the grind. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, take a moment to go ahead and do that as well. But with the Diego Pacheco fight, that performance going into that fight, there was the Buddy McGirt element. There was the story that came in there with Diego Pacheco as far as him not fighting and Billy not fighting Hamza Shiraz, seemingly pulling out of those opportunities because maybe there was an argument there to say that he wasn't ready. Diego Pacheco's a young fighter, right? At the end of the day, he's a fighter who some might consider has time, right? People might say that. They might say, this guy has time. He doesn't need to jump into the biggest fights yet. But there's something about opportunity. They say when it knocks, answer the door because tomorrow's not promised today. So that being said, on the back end of this performance, if there was some questions before picking up those other fights, should there still be questions? Or do you think at this point, Diego Pacheco should be ready to move up and make a big fight, his next fight, maybe even a title fight?
So say that last part again, Clay, kind of went out.
Yeah,
that last part.
Sorry. So basically, should Diego Pacheco came into this fight with a lot of questions. A lot of fans who saw Diego Pacheco been looking at Diego Pacheco with the side eye because he had an opportunity to fight Christian and Billy and become an interim title holder that would have made him the full title holder. And he probably would have had a big payday with Canelo Alvarez. Or the fight that he turned away with Hamza Shiraz for that WBO title when it was vacant at the time. He didn't take that fight either. But there was questions clearly going into any of these fights as to whether or not he was ready. He made adjustments. He moved away from Jose Benavidez Sr. He picked up Buddy McGirt, and he had a great performance on Saturday night. That being said, you're watching the fight now on the back end of that fight and seeing what he was able to do with a very game, durable Emmanuel Lean. Are we ready to see Diego Pacheco jump into the bigger conversations as far as a Hamza Shiraz, Ozzy Iglesias, right? Jaime Munguia, Christian and Billy, Canelo Alvarez winner, those conversations?
What I will say is that I would say no to a Hamza Shiraz, but I would say yes to a Munguia. I would like to see Pacheco in a few, maybe 1 or 2 more fights with the new trainer. And I think the Munguia fight is definitely a stepping stone towards the, Shiraz, the Iglesias, I would say Munguia for sure.
Yeah, so you really wanted to save him. The Hamza Shiraz conversation is funny to me because I like Hamza. I think Hamza's a great fighter. But I just asked the same question as far as like earlier you were talking about Keyshawn Davis and Devin Haney, and I thought you were hitting on a lot of points here, but don't you think those points kind of meet the same place with Hamza Shiraz and Diego? Like, what has Hamza really done that separates him from Diego like that? What do you think?
I can answer that. So This is the reason why. So I look at, I forget about opponents and all that stuff. I look at what I see the fighter does. Hamza Shiraz is a more technical, clean, accurate punching individual. In the fight that I saw with Pacheco, there were some holes, and maybe those holes were there because of the opponent, like you would say, Clay. Maybe the opponent was a game opponent, so we got to see Pacheco test it a little bit more. But until I see Shiraz tested, then the most I've seen Shiraz tested was in the fight against the Dominican. You know who I'm talking about, where he actually lost that fight, or it could have been a draw. But that fight was more of an IQ, intelligent boxing. You know what I'm talking about, the Dominican brother. Yeah. Outside of that, I've never seen Shiraz actually test it. You know, I never seen him in a fight with some real pressure, aggression, so on and so forth. But take all that away, Hamza Shiraz, when he punches with accuracy. He punches with a level of cleanness that I'm basing it on that only. Pacheco, I like what I see. I see some moments of sloppiness. I saw moments of, just in that aggression, maybe because of the opponent he was in the ring, but I've seen him in multiple fights where he kind of loses focus a little bit. His footwork is he needs a little bit more work there. So I'm basing it only on just the fundamentals. I think Shiraz is just fundamentally, he's very sure of himself and he understands what he's going to do in the ring from what I've seen. Now, granted, I haven't seen him in there with a pressurized fighter to where I can see what does he do when things don't go your way, when you can't, stand in your position the way you want or throw your punches the way you want. I don't know how Shiraz is going to handle that, but I do know in that frustrating when he go ahead, I'm listening.
Yeah, but I mean, in a way, we kind of do got something to reference, right? A little bit.
What fight is that? The Adames fight?
Yeah, a little bit.
Well,
things ain't go his way.
Yeah, but if you look at that fight, though, if you remember that fight, Adames was almost in and out, moving, right? That was a very difficult. Let's just be honest. That was a very difficult fight. Like when you're dealing with a boxer, mover, Adames was in, out, in, out, in, out. But what I did like about Shiraz in that fight is that he never stopped coming. Now, is his IQ there? Maybe not. I think Adames is a great fighter, man. Like people overlook some of these fighters. Adames is nothing to play with, bro. So I think from that standpoint, we was able to see how he dealt with where is his IQ. More so like how Bud Crawford was in the Madrimov fight. I don't see Pacheco presenting something high level IQ that's going to make a person be like, okay, that's what I'm saying. I don't think Pacheco presents that problem for Hamza Shiraz. I actually think it's tailor-made for Hamza Shiraz because of the style of fighting Pacheco utilizes right now at this moment. I think it'd be a great fight. I have it 50. I have it like 50-50, but I would edge it to Shiraz.
Yeah. No, I think fair play to your point, man. The adversity is different. But I thought Diego Pacheco on Saturday showed a lot of great qualities. I would lean, obviously, I'm with you. I'm just here to stir shit up and be a pain in the ass and argue with you just for the sake of it. But, what I'm saying, as far as, Hamza Shiraz does show me on the eye test that he may be a level or two above Diego Pacheco. He has a great corner with Andy Lee. I love that combination. And, I'm always out here advocating for the team conversation in boxing that I think is an underrated conversation. I think we don't talk about how important those things are. And I think, but that being said, Diego Pacheco seems to be bringing that to the forefront, right? Where he realizes before he even got in a Christian and Billy fight, or before he got into an opportunity to become a WBO champion in Hamza Shiraz, he acknowledged, you know what? I'm young. I'm 24, 25 years old. I have time. I want my team built up around me first, because as I've stated in other shows, it's not just about becoming champion. It's about thriving in that championship space, right? Like I can win a fight, but if I want to win all the fights, and if I want to ultimately get ready for the biggest fight of my life, which may be a Canelo Alvarez or a Hamza Shiraz, right? Who knows what it may be? Maybe my biggest fight ahead of me is at 175 against, a Ben Whitaker or something like that. I have no idea what my future holds. But before I get into those conversations, let me make sure I got my team together. And I think with the Buddy McGirt element we saw Saturday, that there were some improvements there made with Diego Pacheco and his patience and his poise. We saw him pumping that jab, using his feet to find those angles. We also saw him box almost a masterclass in the first 6 rounds of that fight. I mean, he won every round of that fight until he stopped Emmanuel Lean, but also after being ahead 6+ rounds, turned it up another level and showed you that grit that he has, that dog that he has in him to chase down a stoppage against a fighter that Lester Martinez wasn't able to stop, right? That he's only been stopped, I think, once in his career before, maybe like 3-4 years ago. But other than that, a durable fighter who wasn't trying to go anywhere. Diego Pacheco was hitting him with a lot of clean shots, and credit to Emmanuel Lean, who just showed his grit in that fight and just able to weather a lot. But ultimately, he's a human being first, and Diego Pacheco was ultimately able to convince that referee to get in the middle of that and stop that fight. So I think Diego Pacheco earned a lot of points. And you got to be optimistic saying that that's the first fight he had with Buddy McGurk. You got to be optimistic going into his next fights and say that I think he's going to be a better fighter in his next fight than he was in this fight. And those 11.5 rounds he had with Emmanuel Lima, I think is going to pay out dividends for him in his career. Hey, shout out to the Discord. We've got Cyrus. Yeah, we got Cyrus in the Discord. You can unmute yourself if you want to get in the conversation, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Yeah, it's Cyrus, man.
Cyrus, how you doing, brother, man? Good to meet you, man.
Likewise, man. Yeah, so I want to talk about the Pacheco card, man. I think Pacheco's problem is that I think going into the Kelvin Lele Sajo fight, he had some people in his family pass. And I've always been kind of like medium high, like on Pacheco. But it seems like after that, he kind of like lost some of his dog. And he started stalling a little bit. Yeah, he looked good against Emmanuel Aline, but let's be real. The only reason that Emmanuel Aline got this fight is because Lester Martinez took him to 120, 108, but looked like shit the entire time. So it made him look good, even though he didn't do anything, And then Diego gets in the ring with him and gets him out of there in 11 rounds after poking him with a 9-inch reach advantage for 11 rounds.
Right.
I think a lot of guys are going to beat Diego Pacheco right now. Like right now, I got Hamza beating him. I got Iglesias beating him. I got Munguia beating him. And I got Wilkins Matthew beating him as well.
Wow. I mean, so on Saturday night's performance, though, did you see Buddy McGurk's influence in that fight at all? And I say that off the strength of, does he? We're talking about a fighter and a trainer meshing and melting together, right? Like this is the beginning process. Being their first fight together. What did you think about that team? Impact.
I think it was good for Diego because keep in mind what I said earlier. I think his deficit is mostly mental, right? He needs people around him that will give him his confidence back, get him his dog back, that'll coach to his style, that allow him to fight the way he's comfortable with, but the way he's supposed to be. So it's just like, I feel like this was a nice step towards that. Because in that Kelvin Lele Sajo fight, did you see that one, Clay?
Of course, definitely, man. And that's another fight, by the way, that was a hard fight for him. A very difficult fight for him. But that fight builds character. You don't think he gets better after that?
Remember how they reacted in the end? They weren't happy, nothing. Like it was just like he didn't even win the fight. And we all know he could have did better against Kelvin at the same time, even though he still won the fight. A win is a win. But it's just like when you get to the world level, the rank level, that everybody in like the top 15 is like a monster in a way. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you got to come correct because it's like Hamza, not only is he mentally there, he's a very smart fighter and he's sharp and he's strong. He's going to chin Diego right now. Diego needs at least 1 or 2 more fights to even be mentally ready enough to fight the likes of him and unified champ Iglesias. He got the IBF and IBO.
Oh, you're gonna do that? You're gonna put that IBO on the map? I hear you, brother. One voter at a time. We need to get that petition listing around so we can get that IBO on the map.
Hey, it matters, man. Everybody else only got 1. He got 2.
You're right. You're right. As long as you're willing to pay the fee, you're
right,
unified.
And he held it down too.
He do.
He repping it down, but I respect Iglesias. I hope Adames move up and fight him like he said he would. He gonna get smoked.
Right. Right. Hold on 1 second. Leonard Sterling in the building with the 5 pounds says, Zach and Huber much better than Becic, but Pacheco has a better resume at 168 than Shiraz. Shiraz done nothing at 168 better than Pacheco, or better than Pacheco wins. So Leonard Sterling is leaning towards Diego Pacheco to beat Hamza Shiraz. And I'm going to be real with you, man. This conversation with Diego Pacheco and Hamza Shiraz, to a degree, I'm using this measured so people don't come and kill me in the chat. You probably still do it anyway. But this is a Keyshawn Davis, Devin Haney fight in some ways where we're using the eye test, and we're talking about resume. And we're saying that, listen, man, this guy has shown more that we've seen inside the ring, and this other guy has been more active and has a resume that, he could put over a Hamza Shiraz. I think clearly Diego Pacheco has a better resume at 168. Hamza Shiraz just got the 168 a couple of fights ago. You know what I'm saying? He was a 160 fighter who had a hard time with Carlos Adames. But there's an eye test part of this conversation that we can't get past, to say that we see a lot of talent in Hamza Shiraz, and he's shown that he probably should have been at 168, just how he battered on Edgar Berlanga, what he did to Edgar Berlanga. And then obviously we haven't seen him in there with any world-class fighters since then, but the eye test says that this guy is the goods.
Yeah, if we're going to do the eye test and a triangle theory, remember, man, Berlanga went 12 with Canelo. He went the whole fight with him, and then he got in there with Hamza, and Hamza turned him to dust. That don't mean nothing. It
means something. No, I mean, you're right. You're right. It all counts, man. It all counts, man, in the conversation. I think one way or the other, though, the height, the reach, the matchup is interesting. I think so too. I
think Hamza's a little meaner.
Yeah.
And I think that'll give him the edge in that fight. Like, if all thing else is equal, I think Hamza is willing to go through more to get that win.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Do you feel like Diego Pacheco, if you're Hamza Shiraz, do you go get Diego right now? Or do you allow him to develop even more and just take care of him later? Or do you say, you know what?
So if I'm Hamza Shiraz, I'm WBO champion right now, right?
Right.
So I guess, even though the names are being thrown, I think a lot of people are forgetting that Hamza is world champion right now.
Facts.
He's world champion. So he's probably, they're like, Diego is trash. That's probably how he's really thinking. He's probably like, who's really going to give me like my best? Like, I'll fight him. I'll knock him out too. But, then, he got champion business to take care of, defenses and mandatories and stuff like that. And now he gets special privileges for holding the belt. So he can demand stuff now. So actually, Hamza's in a very interesting position, even though it seemed like he'd been given the belt, kind of.
Go ahead, Triple Four.
I think what we learned from Hamza is that he has a problem dealing with movers. That's what I think or intelligent movers, because the fight with, I forgot his name for whatever reason. I'm talking about. Not Carlos Adames, the one after.
Edgar?
Not Edgar, the one before Edgar.
No, there wasn't no fight before Edgar, wasn't? Did he go directly to Edgar?
Didn't he fight? Hold on, let me look it up.
I'll pull it up.
Let me be at.
Yeah, let's take a look.
Yeah, let's take a look, because I think he fought Edgar directly after that. I think that, matter of fact, a lot of people thought that Turkey kind of played him, was like, damn, you didn't even let him.
He fought Edgar, and then right before then he fought Adames.
Right. Yeah, he rolled right into the Edgar Berlanga fight at 168. And then he went and fought Alam Becic, which is who Leonard Sterling was talking about, as far as that fighter that he fought against. And now he's getting ready to fight against Simon Zackenhuber, who I think that's also potentially going to be a more competitive fight than people think it is. Everybody thinks it's like a big cherry pick. I don't know. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know.
Yeah, he's 29-1 now.
Yeah. And he's at Eastern European and boxers, man. Them Eastern Europeans, bro, they come out and they box the shit out of you, bro. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I'm talking about he fought Ammo Williams, correct? Didn't he fight Ammo?
Yeah, Ammo. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he came up off of Austin for real.
Yeah. So like I look at the Ammo fight. Ammo tried to kind of move. He tried to kind of whatever. He tried to box, and I like the way he handled that. I think an intelligent mover Hamza struggles with. Just basing it on the Adames fight. Outside of that, though, I think everyone else gives him he gives them a good run for their money, man. To be very honest, he is a champion, of course. I get it, but I think he's very clean, man. His clean as his punch selection is just I haven't seen no one else at that division that is doing like that. Except I think Iglesias has a nice punch selection and very clean punches. But yeah,
I do think that it's just like people kind of unfairly criticizing Hamza about that Adames fight because he broke his hand in the 3rd round, and Adames was only able to pull out a draw against a man with one hand.
I forgot that he did break his hand.
Yeah,
I forgot.
Yeah, that's right. And he also had hand issues
I forgot.
against Carlos Adames. He had.
I forgot about that. My apologies.
Yeah, so when his hands is healed, he doing them like Berlanga. He wiping his behind with him.
Church. I think he's
that's true.
I think this fight against Simon
a lot, man.
I think this fight against Simon Zackenhuber is a fight where we're going to see a 6'1" dude in there with a 6'3" Hamza Shiraz, and you're going to see a guy who's going to box, man. He's going to, he's coming in. He lost on points against a 17-0 guy, but this guy right here, I'm expecting to lose his fight. He doesn't seem like he gets out of Germany too much. But those Eastern Europeans, they bring that pedigree, man, and they make it to where, Hamza's going to have to box, and he's going to have to beat this guy. He's going to have to move. He's going to have to cut this ring off. He's going to have to find him, and there's a good chance it's going to go to the judges.
Is Germany Eastern Europe?
Isn't that Eastern Europe?
Like
Germany's not Eastern Europe?
That's like Central Europe, isn't it?
Probably. I mean, on the map, I'm not that
like
on my geography,
right?
But let me see here. Let me find out. I consider him
also,
Eastern Europe. I don't know, but
how about this play? I was also doing some research. We generally consider like those Pakistani people to be like Middle Eastern. They're not even Arab. They're Asian people. Did you know that?
Hell no. I would have thought they were Middle Eastern every day of the week. That's why I would have told somebody to ask me.
Yeah, and Uzbekistan's the Uzbekistani people are the same way. They're not Eastern Europeans.
They're not
Asian.
Eastern Europeans?
They're Asian. How about that?
Well, no, I mean they're Eastern. They're a mixture though. They're a mixture though. Don't do that. They're a mixture of Eastern European and they're a mixture of obviously the Genghis Khan movement. So that's why. So they're a mixture. They're Asian and Eastern European. Right?
Yeah,
I mean, I would
culture. Silk Road. Remember the whole traveling between Europe and Asia? It's like that's their whole history. Silk Road.
I'll say this, right? Because I just looked it up. So without a doubt, Germany is definitely Central Europe. It's not Eastern. But as far as boxing is concerned, as far as classifying them as boxers, as far as pedigree, do you think the Germans kind of bring more of an Eastern European style of boxing as far as when you think of a Dmitry Bivol or Alexander Usyk, these fighters?
I think the Germans are a little more smash mouth than that, man. Like look at Gradus Kraus, I think at 175. Like these are like strong people, and they fans are like they're kind of, man, boxing over in Germany is like a little different. Like I've seen fights where like the favorite loses and like the whole arena, just like the whole place just turns into a brawl. People throwing stuff into the arena, like into the ring, throwing bottles, people hopping into the ring, fighting. Like they kind of crazy, and I wouldn't fight out in Germany if I was a boxer. Like I was born out there like on a military base, but as America, I'm not fighting against no home crowd in Germany.
Wow.
It's super interesting. Caballero's their guy too.
Word, 100%, man. I don't know. It's very interesting though, you know what I'm saying, as far as this 168-pound landscape is going to be, as far as how we're looking at it, ever since Terrence Crawford beat Canelo Alvarez and kind of reset the division, right? He took all the belts off Canelo, then vacated them, which was probably that's one of the biggest things that I think Terrence Crawford did for us as fans, right? He gave us a great fight against Canelo Alvarez, but also he really just scattered all the belts and just reset everything for us at 168. And now the conversations get just so much better right now. Even Jamal Charlo, right? Somebody who's having a hard time right now going over there to Australia. But me personally, I know, listen, I won't fault anybody who's like, man, come on, man, because Jamal's cooked. I don't think he is. I think he's still one of the best 168-pounders out there. I'd like to see him more active, but still, I think he's part of the conversation. 168's become way more interesting.
Everything he does comes with like a sigh and like an eye roll.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, God, you know what I'm saying? Like we want to see good things.
Right.
We really do.
No, 100%, man. We want to seem like, even with this, like you said, with this Australia situation, it's like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Passport issues. Come on, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. Oh, yeah. And on German boxing, if you haven't checked him out before, the Germans got a guy called Greatest Kraus that I had mentioned earlier at 175. The dude is like Hercules, man. He's just super strong and super durable. And he's really fun to watch. Somebody gonna knock him out one day, but he's worth watching.
No doubt, no doubt. Shout out. We got 120 plus people in the building, man. Hit the like button, please. Thank you in advance. And definitely subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so yet. As you can see, we're in this boxing talk, man. It's not like what my guy Jay-Z said. I'm not animated like, say, a Busta Rhymes with the real shit you get when you bust down my lines, right? So I'm not as colorful as everybody in the space, but I think you get some good boxing conversations over here. What's going on, Triple Four?
I got a question, Clay. I'm sorry to go back. I just want your confirmation on it. So the Keyshawn Davis, he rejected the 25%. Is that true?
No.
Or
no?
Okay.
That's just all speculation and rumors.
Yeah, I don't think he can.
Thank you for clarifying.
The mandate, right?
Yeah, he doesn't have that kind of power yet. That's not I don't think the conversation has gotten there yet to that kind of even of a conversation, right? Like I wouldn't be shocked if there's some counter offers being made and some negotiation type of things being made, especially if depending on the size of the purse. Like I'm sure if the purse is the lower the purse, the more compensation. You know what I'm saying? They might be like, well, damn, it ain't that much money there, so give me a bigger chunk.
I feel like I learned a bit about this during like Shakur and Devin's like initial disagreement with the negotiation. Because remember, Devin had offered him like 25% while that was at 135.
Right.
And Shakur was like, I'm going to do the smart thing and just go behind you and go to the sanctioning body, and they're going to get it right.
Right.
And then
Devin was like, Regis, what you doing? Regis looking crazy against Zorilla. Well, let's go get him.
Right. And then they was like, okay, Shakur, I got some good news and I got some bad news.
Hey, Clay, you funny.
We can absolutely mandate this for you. But according to our rules, the split that we're going to set forward is going to be pretty similar to what he gave you, man, because that's just how we've been doing it.
Right.
You know, so I feel like with Keyshawn and Devin Haney, like the commissioner is like, hey, man, according to the rules, this is the split on this kind of situation. And it's either yes or no.
Big facts, 100%. Let's segue into the Andy Cruz conversation real quick here, because 130 is a division that I think is a very interesting division. I'm expecting some 126 pounders to come up there and make the division interesting. But I think the addition of Andy Cruz may be another conversation altogether, because Andy Cruz, 7, 8 professional fights? No, what is it? 8 professional? Now. Yeah, 8 professional fights into his career. 1 loss and against a very competitive fight against a number 2 135 pounder in Raymond Morataya.
Hey, Clay, I think he won that fight personally.
See, so there, and you're not the first person I've had said that. I don't think so. I scored it for Raymond, but I thought it was close. I'm not mad at all. If he would have won, I wouldn't have been mad because it was that close of a fight. But
me neither. Only had him winning by 1 round.
There you go. Right. So, but on the back end of that fight, the rumors started circulating. Damn. Is this guy too small for the division, man? Has he been at 135 trying to make it happen, showing, improving, but, maybe a little timid in the division? He's been hurt a couple of times. We saw Antonio Moran hurt him. We saw Omar Salcido hurt him. He has to be a little cautious and a little worried in that division. So conversations and rumors started circulating about him potentially entering the 130-pound division. To be honest with you guys, I was kind of shocked that he got right back into an IBF eliminator fight against Albert Bell to get right back into a champ. I was like, damn, man, I don't know, bro. You don't want to get a little more fights under your belt? But Albert Bell gets his opportunity with Abdullah Mason. We saw that great fight, and a fight of the year candidate potentially, right? But on the back end of that, what was Andy Cruz going to do? So he picks up a fight with this guy, Abraham Montoya. And everybody's probably saying the same thing. Who in the fuck is this guy, and why in the world? What is Andy Cruz doing? Well, now we're hearing he's going to 130. So that's what he was doing. He was getting himself a stay busy fight. From what I understand, he made himself a good little bit amount of money, but he's heading to 130. What do you guys think about Andy Cruz at 130 and how 130 looks with Andy Cruz?
Man, we don't know how Andy Cruz looks at 130, man, because he looked excellent in this fight, but it's at 135. We don't know if just like how much can he really burn off? Can he keep it up? Will he have the same power? Like, because he was punching through Abraham this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah. I'll go ahead. I'm sorry. I apologize. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, once again, it's who you're in the ring with. I think he definitely does better at 130. I think that 130 is probably more in line with his natural, or I think he's just naturally a smaller guy. So I think 130 definitely. I understand why he tried to do the 135 thing, but I think it's been a little rough for him at 135. Yes, he was punching through the guy he was fighting. I don't put too much merit on the guy he was fighting, though. It's just what it is. This was a replacement, and that's just what it was. So I take it for that.
Yeah.
But I definitely think he does better at 130.
Montoya wasn't all that, but sometimes when you fight people that you're supposed to fight, presents a different challenge, right? And so he stepped up to the plate and still become the first person to ever stop this motherfucker, right? This Abraham Montoya in 32 fights or something like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Even though he got 7 losses in a draw, that still carries something, right? And I think we've been a little too critical of Andy Cruz, man. He lost by really 1 round or 2 rounds in a championship level fight, and he didn't get whooped on.
Agreed. I agree.
I think this Andy Cruz who fought Montoya might have beat Muratalla simply because he was coming forward more. Because not only do styles make fights, styles make scores as well. It's all about what
I agree with you. I agree with you. He was coming forward in the Muratalla fight, but what happens is that when you get punched with something that hurts, you kind of second guess coming forward, and that's what happened. Honestly speaking, I think Muratalla power made him kind of second guess, and he had to kind of do and you heard his corner telling him. Bozy was telling him what to do. Bozy was telling him, you got to step to him. You got to go at him, But unfortunately, when you're not in the ring getting those punches, I mean, I get it. So yeah, I think that particular Andy Cruz definitely decisively beats Muratalla,
Yeah, Muratalla is nice, man. People just gloss over him. I think people got a bad taste in their mouth because he beat Tevin Farmer, and people love Tevin Farmer. So people are like, man, Muratalla, he ain't really all that. He ain't really all that.
Well, because people thought that he arguably lost that Tevin Farmer fight, that first one. People thought Tevin Farmer in that first fight.
Yeah, bad connection, by the way, Triple Four.
I was like,
I think the victory was a great victory, bro. I really do think that the victory was a good victory. I don't think Abraham Montoya is elite level. I'm saying, oh, did you see what he did to him? It's not about that, right? But at the end of the day, what he showed is that when he's able to let his hands go, when he's confident, he can be menacing. And him being menacing is an important part of him being part of Bozy Ennis' system, right? That's part of the thing about Bozy Ennis' system is that his fighters are all menacing. Stephen Fulton's been trying to become very menacing. Duran Boots Ennis is definitely menacing. I don't need to talk about Jarrell Big Baby Miller and Andy Cruz. Even Jack Catterall became more menacing when he stopped Ego Usman, right? So at the end of the day, that's an important part of what Bozy brings to the table. And I think Andy had an opportunity to show that when he's comfortable and he can get into that mode, he can let his hands go and he can hurt anybody. And you got to think if he can do that to Montoya, that he could definitely do that to somebody at 130. Granted, at 130, he's going to be dealing with maybe a little bit more athleticism, a little bit more speed. Maybe the IQ may be at a different level when he gets in there with maybe an Oshaki Foster or Vasily Lomachenko, right? Or he jumps in there with an Emmanuel Navarrete or Sugar Nunez or any of those guys that he could be getting into it with in that division. It could be a different conversation, but I do think the playing field seems like it levels out a little bit more for Andy Cruz at 130. What do you think about that, Cyrus?
I think he looks a little oversized at 130. You put him in a ring with him, suddenly he tall.
Right. Suddenly that reach, right? Suddenly all those different things.
Because Shock ain't no big guy. That's a little man.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Put him next to Andy Cruz. Now suddenly Andy Cruz got these advantages and stuff like that. He's taller than him and stuff like that. I think he could become a real menace at 130 if he gets down there and he feels comfortable. He wants to do it. I think he really could. And man, there's something about Bozy, man. It's just what he does in the dungeon. It got to be something else because when they get in fights, he tell them all the same thing. Get him out of here.
Get him out of here.
Let your hands go. And they do that.
Yeah. No,
Like
listen.
Jack Cattle, he throw his hands, get him out of there. Boots throw his hands, get him out of there. And that's what Andy Cruz just did.
It's important, man.
Shit.
It's important. It's an important part of what Bozianis does. And I think, you know, at 135, Andy Cruz is a little reserved. He's a little apprehensive of Bozianis' system at 135. I think I think he's been touched one or two times in that division where he's just like, yeah, I hear you, Bozy. Like, respectfully, I hear you, man. And, you know, I love what we're doing in the gym, but, man, that do kind of hurt me, bro. You know what I mean? He hurt me. I get the give and take type thing is kind of different over here. Maybe 130. Maybe 130, Bozy, coach.
Hey, Clay, you know what it really is, though, man? Andy Cruz is an Olympic fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he got that amateur shit just in his blood. That's how he rocked, you know?
Right.
So it's like that transition. Man, not everybody can just start knocking dudes out after like fighting years of amateurs like Ben Whitaker can. You know what I'm saying? It's just like Andy Cruz. I mean, Keyshawn ain't knock everybody out, even though we consider him like to be an aggressive fighter. You know what I'm saying? Pretty much like a KO artist of his own in a way.
100%. 100%.
You know.
Yeah, Leonard Sterling. Hold on one second. Let me just do these super chats because I will never get to them. Leonard Sterling in the building with the 2 pounds says Kraus is from the Netherlands, fights out of the UK, and I think that's to you, right? When you were bringing up Kraus before, right?
Yeah, I thought he was German.
He probably is German, but he's probably no. He says he's from the Netherlands.
He might speak it or something.
Yeah. Shout out to Leonard Sterling. He's out the UK, so he has he's got that UK scene. He's very well-rounded in that UK conversation. Shout out to my guy, Coach Hector Bermudez. Coach Hector Bermudez in the building. If you guys don't know, you should ask somebody, right? He coaches a lot of the fighters, your favorites, your Yoani Hernandez's, your Johan Polanco's, right? Your Avius Griffins, right? That's who you're talking about right now when you're talking about Coach Hector Bermudez. A pleasure to have you in the building, sir. Says he can make 130, talking about Andy Cruz. Good idea. He is small, 435 pounds. And to follow that up, he says, but a good eye tells you that he was uncomfortable and getting touched up in that first round by a slow-footed individual. And I think he's talking about Montoya, right? That he was getting touched up a little. He's not touched up a little bit. Like he really, I mean, when you think the fight wasn't that long, right? But I think without a doubt, every time Andy Cruz gets touched in that manner, pause if that needs to be put in there, he does act differently. He does get a little more reserved. And like I said, maybe he can be that much more menacing at 130 and be a little bit more confident in the system that he's training in. Because he's in a system with Bozy that asked him to do that.
But Clay, he showed spite this time instead.
Facts.
I think after seeing that loss, he's like, oh, y'all really going to do me like this? It's just like, I know what I did in there. But to actually see it come back and bite him, I think that really affected him. Because I know in his mind, he that guy.
He knows exactly who he is. But that's another thing, though, right? Like, you know, the amateur style translating into the pro style. And, you know, did Andy Cruz get a real opportunity to have his pro style elevate or evolve properly, right? Did he get an opportunity to transition? You know, immediately Eddie Hearn had plans for Andy, right? Like, you coming over here, we're going to get Keyshawn. He's like, damn, bro, I'm like 2-3 fights in my profession. Are you sure? Nah, listen, man, you guys got the story. You beat him 4 times in the amateurs. We're going to go get Keyshawn. And it's like everything became about Keyshawn. Meanwhile, Keyshawn is like, you know, and this is not about whether or not Andy would beat Keyshawn or not beat Keyshawn. This is about Keyshawn saying, yeah, bro, I'm going to become a WBO champion. And then I'm going to go do these things and do these other things. You know what I'm saying? I'm in this chapter in my pro career. I'm not going to go backwards because, you know, Eddie Hearn's able to build up a story about what we did in the amateurs together to build up something that make it interesting. So, but that being said, kind of fast tracking Andy Cruz and not giving him an opportunity to properly acclimate into the new space he was in, especially acclimate with the new coach he had in Bozianis, right? What do you think about that?
I think you might be right, man, because they put him in there with some tough competition to start. Like Juan Carlos Burgos had like 40-something fights, professional fights or something crazy like that, you know, and he just kept really impressing, you know. He was hurting guys, not necessarily like getting them out of there, you know, and when he stopped Antonio Moran, we got excited.
Exactly. But Antonio Moran hurt him. You know what I'm saying? He definitely hurt him in that fight. And I mean, but he was able to stop Antonio Moran. You know what I'm saying? So you're right, though. Well, like he stepped up, but he didn't have to. He didn't get enough fillers, right? He didn't get enough time inside that professional ring to gel with Bozy the right way.
I think that's in. I think he's compensating for that now, though, because I think things are heading in the right direction. You know, because it's just like his style is changing a little bit. You know, he's becoming more of an aggressor, being more comfortable with it. We're seeing him in uncomfortable positions, and instead of like moving backwards, he'll move forward, or at least to the side. You know what I'm saying? Stand his ground.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like his tendencies are starting to change. So it'll be interesting because I know he doesn't want that to happen again. You know, lose on points to a fight you felt like you won.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I'm excited to see him at 130. I think he's going to do well down there. I think there's some great fights for him there. I mean, obviously Raymond Ford is there. He needs something special to happen for him. I don't know if Andy's the answer for that. But, you know, there's other fights down there as well. Not to mention, I'm expecting at some point or another for a Rafael Espinoza to make his way up in that division. I'm expecting for, you know, Shushu to make his way up to 130. I'm expecting some fighters from 120. Even a Nick Ball probably put his head into 130 real quick. You know, peeping and see what's going on. So,
Man, I done said it before in other places, and I done said it here. If these guys don't move up and they don't unify, there's a curse on the champions at 126. This is not going to pan out well for them. And look what happened to Nick Ball. Y'all need to go ahead and get this thing to moving because things might happen that you might not want to happen. And I'm mainly looking at Espinoza. Like, bro, like, are you kidding me?
What is
like,
that? What is that? Like 5, 6 title defenses? What is he at? Like 4 or 5? I don't know.
Man. And he don't want to leave Mexico. And I think he recording the album right now.
Oh, he Oscar de la Hoya. He a 126 Oscar de la Hoya. This dude is gone. He's a pretty boy.
I'm trying to tell you. 6 feet tall too. Skin and bones, bro. Sing that shit.
I mean, yo, listen, man. I talked to Brad Goodman, right? On the Boxing Voice. I had talked to Brad Goodman about Rafael Espinoza, and I told him, I said, yo, man, the real boxing fans, the hardcore fans, we looking at how you guys moving with Rafael Espinoza, and we see the nonsense. And he started laughing. I was like, we seen what y'all doing with him, bro. And y'all, it's either y'all protecting him or you guys are trying to save him for maybe an Emmanuel Navarrete for a big super fight at 130. But listen, man, he can't just hold up the division, bro. He can't just be this 130-pound champion who's just sitting here just not looking
I feel like
to do anything.
That Robesi fight was a big risk. Like they almost lost.
Right.
They got it. That's like running through their minds. Like what we had to fucking go through in order to get here. Like, let's hold on to this. Like, we getting the money. You got the belts. You can walk around the street. You can walk around your country. You world champion. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like most people is like, what? They don't care about like the rest. You the champion. You know what I'm saying? You that guy where you at. But like, look, man, 4 pounds, bro, to go from 126 to 130. How much of a difference is it really?
Right. Do something.
6'1", dude.
I agree with you 100%.
Most human beings fighting at 126, bro. That's almost like the definition of like a weight bully. And well, my definition of a weight bully is getting to a point where the fight becomes about something other than skill. So if you're able to get your body down to a point where it becomes less about skill and more about your body, you're bullying your opponent by using factors that they don't have available to them.
Very interesting, man. Shout out to everybody in the building, man. 100+ people in the building. Hit that like button if you haven't done it. Support the grind. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. We are about to wrap it up soon, though, Cyrus. I mean, we've talked about Andy. We've talked about Diego. I mean, I don't even want to get into the Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney, you know, whatever, love triangle, the glove triangle. I think we talked about enough about that. You were great to have on the show today, bro. Like, you definitely, I really appreciated the conversation, man. You really knew your shit.
Hey, man, I'm glad you had me on, man. I would like to say that it's just like out of a lot of the people that's like talking boxing, I like to listen to like a mature adult conversation, having intelligent talks about boxing. You know, not people talking over each other or yelling, doing a whole bunch of cursing or all this other stuff and arguing. We just sit and talk boxing. So I was glad I was able to come on here and do that with you, man.
Yeah, I'm glad you were able to do that too, because the same way you appreciate that, I appreciate when we get the type of boxing heads like you are. You know what I'm saying? We can have a legitimate conversation, and we can get into the conversation that matters, which is what's going on inside that ring, and not so much about the drama and the opinions and I don't know. It gets kind of crazy out here, so I definitely appreciate it, man. It was a good one. Yeah, HLD said he calling you old, Clay. I'm cool, man. Listen, man, if you're so lucky, you might be able to get in the same conversation. You know what I mean? It is what it is.
I've subscribed to the channel. Everybody, make sure y'all subscribe, like the video. And yeah, thanks again for having me on. I'll talk to you next time, Clay.
No doubt, man. I appreciate you. To the next one, brother. Peace. Yeah, man. Great conversations today, man. Great talking points here today. We got to see how everything develops. You already know we're back on tomorrow, 2:45 p.m. We'll be talking a lot more focus on what's going on with Zuffa Boxing. I've got a special guest coming up tomorrow as well. That should be fun. Of course, somebody connected with Zuffa Boxing. You know what I'm saying? We'll be talking more about what's going on over there on the Zuffa fight coming up this weekend, and we'll probably tap into a little bit of a couple of those fights going on the Anthony Joshua card as well, man. I think Anthony Joshua has a fight in front of him, but also the undercard I think is a little underrated, right? Do I think it's worth the pay-per-view money they're charging for it? Absolutely not, right? But I do think we have some good fighters on the undercard that I got my eye on, and we'll probably talk about those guys a little bit as well. Come by, hit that like button, you know what I'm saying, and definitely, get ready to get on the platform or get part of the Discord, and let me know what you guys thinking, man. You know what it is. I appreciate everybody who's in the building today, man. Great turnout, great likes. Thank you. Appreciate all the color that was in the chat. Until the next one, guys. This is the ring. This is Read the Ring. I am your host, Claymore Rain, and you already know what it is. At this point, we out.
Yeah, I can never doubt myself, I know better. All of you critics be acting like you know better. Blowing the smoke, but I know when the dust settles. Said I'm in my element, it's evident that there's levels to the game. All of those dark nights I got then, breaking my back to make it out, got me feeling like rain. I ain't never need your help, I know you wishing me well. A penny for your thoughts, but seeing no change. I snap for the sun like Diddy. The riches got a mad ass son, I'm like Billy. I ain't never switch up, whole team with me. But known for my city like OAGZ. Set the pace as long as you finish. Consumers find a way inside your business. Babylon, they try to dabble in it, and they hate the fact that they may have to witness. You try to aim for the top like this, and you're in your element with a fire like this, and they hoping you fall and they praying you miss, but it's all in the risk. I got you with the switch, you know. I'm in the zone. Give me the throne. One shot, that's all that you got. That's all that I know. Foot on the gas. 155 on the road. You could be a friend of me, an enemy. Keep that same old energy, cause I know I'm in my element. Ooh, yeah. I'm in my element. Ooh, yeah. I'm in my element. I'm in my element. Ooh, yeah. I'm in my element. Ooh, yeah. I'm in my element. Ooh, yeah. Keep that same energy. I'm in my element. Ooh, yeah. I'm in my element. Flow is like water. I'm forced through the fire. I'm feeling like gold. Gotta stay grounded, stay down to earth. Following God and you grinding. You do as you told. I don't work to make you like me, but I'm front and center. Word to Spike Lee. And God came in the nick of time. They think I'm crazy, but I might be. Let's run it up, run it up, run it up. We beating the odds just to sum it up. You know it's a rap, never waistlines, and I'm cutting the weight like a tummy tuck. That mean I'm about to give it out right now. You see what's coming down the line, I never pipe down. I give 100% and be trying to stun on my enemies. In my element is crazy as that might sound. I'm in the zone. Give me the throne. One shot, that's all that you got. That's all that I know. Foot on the gas. 155 on the road. You could be a friend of me, an enemy. Keep that same old energy, cause I know I'm in my element. Ooh, yeah. I'm in my element. Ooh, yeah. I'm in my element. I'm in my element. Ooh, yeah. I'm in my element. Ooh, yeah. I'm in my element. Ooh, yeah. Keep that same energy. I'm in my element. Never switch up.